All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome if you are new here. Thank you guys so much for joining me and for waiting patiently, as always, for the intro to finish up. I am, at least I feel well rested today. Michael says there will be punishment if he does not see 1,000 likes. There will be punishment, most likely physical contact. Whoa. Michael's not playing around today. Well, you heard him, guys. We don't even have 120 people here yet, but we need to get 1,000 likes. There's another Michael in the chat saying, I kind of want to see what the punishment is. Yeah, I've been seeing the Wolverine trailer floating around. Eric says he did his part. Ghetto God, Raven, Hanzo, Dragon, Lady Gamer, Irfin. What's going on, guys? Yeah. Boss, dude. Look, I have a spot for you over here. Okay? That's your spot. All right? Enjoy it. Relax. Chill. We got a lot to talk about today, guys. But yeah, make sure you hit that like button. It's definitely been helping the channel. So no shaving of the eyebrows. Not gonna go that far. Muhammad says the PlayStation haters are silent. I mean, I'm sure you could find something. You know, you look hard enough, you'll find something. MBG looking healthier than ever thanks to Wolverine. Exactly. I'm feeling good now. Finally. Man, what is going? Hold on. You know what though? Something weird going on over here. Okay, is this too dark now? I think it's good. This is good. I think this is good. We're good. We're good. This has some weird. I guess because this poster's like more glossy, so you got to watch with the lighting there. Shave the beard, but leave the stash. Mrs. MBG would not like that. I did trim my beard. It's pretty thinned out now. Boss, dude, come on, man. Look. Boss is getting used to getting treats early in the streams now. And because he's used to getting treats so early, he's just immediately annoying the absolute hell out of me. Tell my bank to let me gift members again. Miku fan, I can't do that. I would if I could, but I'm not allowed to do that. You have to do that. Saris's composer is the same composer behind Chernobyl and Joker. Damn. I'm not surprised. Like when I was watching the Saros gameplay, I kept kind of noticing the soundtrack and just the music. It's really good. Ray, you did 1,000 beard combs today? Or 100. I was going to say 1,000 is kind of nuts, dude. 100 is still a lot, yeah. Yeah, we're going to check that out, Ahoy Tyler. We're going to be covering the Ghost of Yotei reviews. They are out. We're going to see how it's reviewing. There's one particular review that I'm seeing posted numerous times from Eurogamer, apparently giving it like a 6 out of 10 or something. Which, you know, is not surprising. It happens every time. But we're going to be talking about that. We are going to be talking about Metal Gear because we have, guys, I'm not going to lie, we have some, at least to me, some pretty damn exciting news for Metal Gear. Where's Corey, bro? Like, I was fully expecting Corey to be here because this is literally what he's been talking about, a Metal Gear Solid 1 remake. So hopefully he'll show up in time for us to talk about that because he would miss that one, wouldn't he? Oh, hold on. Let me see. So that was, I don't think that actually came through. Hold on. Why didn't that come through? Oh, okay. I got a direct donation that was playing on my end. Maybe you heard it come through the mic a little bit. And Michael Wernick comes in and drops a single member gift. That's 51 for Michael, if we count yesterday's. Michael, thank you for that, buddy. He's here reminding you guys to hit that like button and that you can always drop a single member gift. I do appreciate that. We have Bobby Heckelmeyer, and he says, I'm really glad Wolverine is being received so well. So am I. I am still seeing some people trying their best to, I get it. It's to be expected, but you still see the haters out here trying to hate, and you see the haters trying to also be the skeptics, right? Where it's like, look, man, I'm not saying you got to be a fan of Wolverine. I'm not saying you got to be excited for Wolverine. I'm not saying you even got to care about this game, but you cannot watch that trailer. Like, I'm just going to say it. If you watch this Wolverine trailer and the first thing you feel the need to do is talk about something that's wrong with it.
Also great casting pick. We got Spartacus playing Wolverine. He's going to kill it, bro. They suplexed me with hype. Saros looking bananas.
For some reason, I heard that as Saros smoking bananas, and I'm like, whoa. They suplexed Moonshot with hype, and I have to replay your first message, Moonshot. Or Josh.
Let's go MBG. I'm so glad they made Wolverine combat quick and ferocious. In case people don't know, he's very, very fast, very agile too.
Yeah, dude. There was that one scene in the trailer where he was like slicing somebody up and then just immediately turned around and just like he went like 10 feet and just like put his claws right through somebody's skull. I was like, holy shit. Yeah, it looks amazing. It seems like they picked a really good. I'm not too familiar with the actor, but as I was watching the trailer some more and listening to his voice, I'm like, I think they got the right person to play Wolverine. And yeah, it's getting a lot of views, 4.2 million views in 18 hours. I've seen like clips of Spartacus. I actually haven't seen the show though. I've never like sat down and watched it. But yeah, man, the hype for Wolverine is real, and I think it's safe to say they knocked it out of the park, truthfully. And Isley comes in, follows up Michael, and drops a single member gift. Luna's making me very nervous. What are you doing? Okay. Luna's being a little weirdo over there. Isley, thank you for dropping another member gift. And we have Hoodie Leak. Hoodie Leak. I said Hoodie. Hoodie Leak. Hoodie Leak. Sorry about that. Coming in, renewing their membership, bringing us up to 3 members on the day. And so, yeah, guys, if you want to help support the channel and support the content, I'm only able to do what I do here because you make it possible. We keep the channel sponsor free, which is what I prefer. I think a lot of you guys prefer that as well. And we're able to do that because you guys, like I said, you make it possible by supporting. So thank you to everybody who contributes. And make sure you're continuing to hit that like button. We're sitting at 65 likes. I'm afraid to see what Michael may do to you guys if we don't hit his goal, whatever that goal. I don't know if we're gonna hit 1,000 likes. There may just have to be physical punishment. So I'm sorry. It's probably gonna be that way. Mystique is getting some design hate in Wolverine. Of course she is. Yeah, because let's just ignore 99% of everything that was shown and just focus on that. Like, dude, if there's something that has become abundantly clear is that you are damned if Insomniac is damned if they do and damned if they don't. It's like I tried to tell you guys. There are groups of people out here where they literally profit off of people being bothered and annoyed by stuff, and it is in their best interest to nitpick, be overly critical, and find something. Like, that's their job, to find something. To be like, hey guys, look at this. I found a problem in this 2-minute trailer. I know it's getting millions of views and hundreds of thousands of likes, and everybody's excited about it. But let me show you this one thing I found wrong that literally nobody else has noticed. And why do you think they do that? They do that because they have to do that. They do it because that's how they get their views. That's how they get their clicks. If they don't, nobody's going to show up. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like people would have to go out of their way to find something, I don't say wrong, but just, to make the main focal point, like there's something wrong with this Wolverine game. It's like, bro, come on, man. Like they put out a good ass trailer. What more could you ask for? Is my question at that point. Um mm. Well, Devil Shooter, I appreciate you getting my back, bro. Imagine that. Imagine that. Why focus on the state of play? Why focus on the games that were shown at the state of play? Why focus on any of that? Why? They'll keep swinging on it, bro. I'm not. I'm just saying they'll keep swinging on it. Let them keep swinging on it. Um, we're we're here because of Skate, bro. That was like a fever dream yesterday. I'm not gonna lie. I think so. I should probably explain what happened yesterday. I started streaming at 12 at my normal time, and I'm like, no problem. Gotta stream for 5 hours, and then we'll watch the show. I'll be fine. I'll be totally fine. And I had I had a full like 8 ounce cup of coffee, which is more than I normally drink during my streams because I'm like, I'm gonna need an extra pep in my step for the state of play, especially for streaming so long. I drank that coffee way too fast, and by like the 3.5 hour mark, I was like totally crashed. Like I just had a complete caffeine crash, and I'm like, I'm losing my grip here. So I was like, let's just go play Skate, and it was it was something. It was something. I to be honest, I don't think I was fully conscious during that segment. I was kind of in a haze, so I snapped out of it though, luckily. But I'm sorry I had to subject you guys to that. It's funny though, because we got a couple of viewers in there too. A couple of viewers were playing Skate with me. That was pretty funny. Boss, like, look, man, there's not enough space. Saurus looks fire. Saurus looks amazing. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, it was fun, Guy Gravity. If GTA 6 gets delayed to fall 2026, Wolverine might have to get delayed. I'll tell you right now, if GTA 6 gets delayed to fall next year, it's going to be the most chaotic year ever. It's going to be, yeah, that's going to be really problematic. So MBG, based on my source at PlayStation Europe, they were mostly correct. You're saying they changed parts of the story? Interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, you were putting some stuff out there, Laman. And yeah, I guess maybe it seems like you may actually have a good source there, man. Whiskey says those are rookie numbers. I drink like 3 10-ounce cups every morning. Well, I'm kind of close. Well, yeah, that's definitely more than me. I drink 2 8-ounce cups in the morning. So that's like 16 ounces. And then I have like another 4 ounces usually. So that's about 20 ounces. So you're straight up drinking like about 10 ounces more than me, which I could do that, but I'd probably have to get adjusted to it. Get some of like, caffeine shakes and whatnot. I told you we'll see The Last of Us there, and here we are. Yeah, God, man, I was so scared. Like I'm sure you guys saw my reaction. I was scared for myself at that. I'm like, I don't know what this is, and I'm afraid of how I'm going to react. I'm afraid that the meltdown is about to ensue. And luckily, when they revealed it's just for PlayStation Plus, I'm like, oh, okay. Like, still a little strange. You know what really surprised me about the state of play yesterday? kind of seeing what people were saying and how they were reacting. The thing that actually really surprised me was the amount of hate that the God of War controller was getting. A shocking amount of hate, but the more I was like kind of looking into it, I kind of understand. I guess I just didn't think much of it because I was so focused on like what was coming after, like if it was going to be Wolverine or not. Um, so like God of War fans were just enraged that it seemed like they were going to show a game just for it to be a controller. And then people were also doubly enraged when they were like, bro, you just painted a red line on that controller and told us to pay $85. And I'm like, all right, yeah, like I didn't really think much of it, but I can see why people were frustrated by that. Oh, you drink 36 ounces, Steven? You'll be crashing in an hour. Nap time coming. That was me yesterday, man. I basically had to take a nap, but I was like, maybe if I just play Skate 4, that'll suffice. Um, yeah, I need my coffee though. I think a lot of people need their coffee. There's other ways to get caffeine, but I prefer coffee. I used to take like pre-workouts and stuff. Pre-workouts usually have caffeine in them, but eventually I was just like, I'll just drink coffee. I just prefer it. It's better. I prefer coffee over pre-workouts. It's good. Um, you try not to get addicted to caffeine. Yeah, good luck. It's hard not to get addicted to caffeine. I've been drinking coffee every day since I was like 15 years old. Um, I mean, there's like maybe like a handful of days at most that I went without having coffee. Um, and those days suck. Insomniac, you're saying Insomniac absolutely nailed the feel of what Wolverine should be. Can't wait to see more. Yeah, man. I'm just it's nice. It's really nice to see the level of excitement that people have, and it's nice to see that people are sharing the same level of excitement because I was kind of wondering if maybe like I don't want to say overly hyped, but like if I was more excited for what I saw than the average person. And it seems like no, I actually saw quite a few people that were seemingly even more hyped than I was. I'm like, this is great. I couldn't have asked for a better outcome. Um, oh, that's interesting, Laman. That's super interesting, dude. Well, yeah, keep us in the know, bro. No, we didn't go over the Ghost of Yotei reviews yet. We're gonna get into that soon. I'm just letting people kind of file in. And guys, we have over 260 people here already, which is awesome to see. Thank you guys so much. Make sure you take a moment and hit that like button. We're already at 86 likes. We could easily get to 100. Though I think Sony wanted to show more Yotei at the State of Play, but didn't want more hate. No, I don't think it had anything to do with that. They did release the launch trailer. I figured they probably looked at it as the reviews for Ghost of Yotei are going live literally less than 12 hours after our State of Play, so it's maybe just too redundant. Um, they probably figured we could just get another third party or indie in there that could benefit more from it. That's my guess anyway. You're gonna get the speakers. Yeah. People seem to be somewhat excited for the speakers, but they're nervous about the pricing. And yeah, they're probably gonna be very expensive. I mean, I've seen people saying they're gonna be like $300 speakers. I'm like, that's God, that is kind of crazy. I want them too, but if they're like $300, I'm like, I don't know if I want them that bad. You know what I mean? Maybe like eventually down the line. But I do like the speakers. I think they're pretty cool. All right, you going, dude? Come on. Was I shocked that Insomniac was at the State of Play? I wasn't shocked. What I was shocked about was just how much they showed and how much they talked about it. I wasn't expecting there to see. This is why I always tell people, prior to the State of Plays, they say they'll be like 35 minutes or 40 minutes, but it might run longer. It usually does run longer. They especially if they have a surprise announcement of some kind. I
My
thought
only
we would just get the
criticism is
2 minute
that I hope
trailer.
they don't give gadgets to Wolverine. He doesn't need them cause he fight like a wild animal.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one, New Soul, because And also, before I respond to that news, so I have Makwi Ninja. For some reason, it didn't play his super chat. He says a couple odd games there, but most there were fire. Yeah, just to speak on that for a moment, I didn't really care too much about the third. Like honestly, Sony could have just said this is a state of play focused on Saros and Wolverine. They could have just done that and let me know it was like 15 minutes long, and I would have been just as excited. Um, I get excited for third party games, but at this one in particular, I didn't really see the Halloween game looks really cool actually. That one was nice, but I didn't see a whole lot that got me like super stoked. Yeah, Gran Turismo was there too. I keep forgetting about that. But New Soul, yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do with Wolverine and gadgets, because that's such a big part of the gameplay design and loop for Spider-Man that it if they don't give him anything, it might make it feel like something's missing. So it's a matter of like what they could put in place of it. Um, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like maybe they could add just overall like more finishing moves and more special moves. Maybe that's how they could kind of like double the amount of like specific finishers and special moves that Wolverine can do to kind of make up for not having gadgets, something along those lines. But I think if you look at the cover though, he is wearing like it almost kind of looks like I think a utility belt. Let me hold on. Let me double check this and make sure I'm not making this up. He might end up having some type of gadget, like maybe less gadgets. It looks like he has like a few things on his belt there. I'm looking at it. Yeah, okay. So he's got a couple things. I don't know what they are. One, two, like I think I see like three things on his belt. So he might have a little something, but I doubt it'll be anywhere near. If they do give him any type of gadgets, I doubt it'll be anywhere near what you see with Spider-Man, because that's like a big part of Spider-Man, you know. Oh yeah, Crimson Desert was a good one too. Yeah, that looked really good. That always looks insane when they show it. We have Angry Whale Watcher, a member for 22 months. He says, I pre-ordered Final Fantasy Tactics Remaster. This game was a dime game in 98, chugging on the PS1 with very little voice work. Fully voiced is a huge W. That is a W, Angry Whale Watcher. Yeah, that's really cool they did that. Yeah, I've never really played it. I don't know if that's a game I'll ever play or get into, but I've heard really good things about it over the years. And yeah, them adding voice acting, I could see how that's literally a game changer. But the hype for Wolverine is through the roof right now. I think Insomniac. I don't know, man. I mean, Wolverine is overall a less popular character than Spider-Man for obvious reasons, but I do wonder if, I wonder if Insomniac will be able to surpass what they did with Spider-Man 2018 with Wolverine. Yeah. Yeah, I love it. That perfectly encapsulates the stream. Well, Otacon, remember, there could be a Spider-Man crossover way down the line, but Wolverine is supposed to lead into the X-Men. If you remember the leaked timeline of releases, eventually after, I think it'll be after Venom, basically going into like the 2030s, that's when Insomniac's going to start making X-Men games. So that's going to be really, really interesting. But yeah, you can kind of see that, right? To a degree anyway. You can see how there's they're already kind of teasing their lead into X-Men with different things they've shown in this, even just this trailer. Laman, you're saying lastly, Holst also declined the Order sequel and PlayStation cut funding to JP Games and New RPG game from director of Final Fantasy 15. Damn. Yo, don't tell me that, Laman. Don't tell me Herman, bro. Don't tell me Herman Holst declined an Order 1886 sequel. My source said Herman Holst is under pressure from the Japan office because of many cancellations and wasted budget money. I believe that. I definitely believe that. I think Herman does have a lot of pressure. I think a lot of people were expecting that Herman Holst was going to be fired. You know, once it became clear that the live service stuff was falling apart,
Do you think
and
Wolverine will
so
have
many cancellations.
DLCs?
Do I think Wolverine will have DL? Oh yeah, yeah. I have to imagine they'll have some type of DLC. They could pull a Spider-Man 2, but I think they'll have some DLC. I have a feeling they will. But yeah, I would have thought that, or I would expect, I should say, that Herman is under a tremendous amount of pressure to I think he's been given another chance. I think when people wonder like, well, why wasn't he fired or something? I think people need to understand it's not easy to just replace people like that. Like if you're trying to risk if you're trying to do risk assessment, what's riskier? Giving somebody who has this amount of experience and who's been in this position for a long time another chance to get it right, or bring in somebody new that, may have no idea what they're doing at all. It's you can kind of see why maybe they don't want to necessarily immediately get rid of Herman. And to be fair, Herman has gotten some wins before. I'm not trying to like be a Herman Holst defender, but he's gotten some wins. He's definitely gotten some wins in the past. But I think what Sony wants to do is give Herman Holst a chance to show what he can do when there's not this major push for live service. You know what I mean? Because you could kind of look at it as maybe Herman was unfairly put in this position where it's like, all right, dude, you're the live service guy. And it's like, wait, hold on. Me? I'm the live service guy? I'm the Horizon guy. Can I make a Horizon live service? All right, if I can, I'm in. I'll be the live service guy. Yeah, that's true, Devil Shooter. I really want to know what happened there. Something, dude, something happened behind the scenes with Jim Ryan and Sean Layden. Something definitely happened. There was some kind of power struggle. And because the way they just booted Sean, bro, they're like, peace. Maybe one day we'll find out. They're under like decade-long NDAs though, or something. Herman has a creative background. You much prefer Herman than a full corpo dude. Yeah. Well, I've said this before and I'll say it again. If you look at the launch of the PS5 and everything that was revealed at the PS5 event and maybe like the 2021 event, all those projects, the majority of the projects we've gotten this generation were games that were greenlit before Shuhei Yoshida, decided to step down and become the head of Indies. So it was basically still Sean Layden and Shuhei Yoshida. Now, there are some things we've gotten this gen that were obviously greenlit by Herman, but I think Herman's true test will be the PlayStation 6. I think it's going to be him not only being given a second chance, but having full control where every game we see from this point forward going into the PlayStation 6, this is going to be Herman Holst's first party through and through. So it'll be interesting to see what that looks like. I think Wolverine was obviously greenlit under Herman. So there is that, right? But who would have denied Wolverine? Who would have denied Insomniac making Wolverine? I don't think anybody would have denied that. I think that's an easy win. And to be fair, Herman did greenlight Saros as well. I would assume he greenlit Astrobot. So he's got some wins. He greenlit Fizzant. He greenlit I think he greenlit Ghost of Yotei. I don't know if that would be. He was taking over probably around the time. No, I think he was the one who greenlit it. He greenlit Intergalactic. So we'll see. We'll see. Venom, yeah. I get a question I have is this new Santa Monica game, Cory Barlog's game. I wonder if he greenlit that or not, or because that game's been in development for so long. He needs to assign somebody else to greenlight the live services. Well, what's interesting is they seemingly haven't really greenlit many live service games after all the cancellations occurred. It seems like they basically were like, let's just pull the ones that we think have a chance.
Hey MBG. The state of play was great, no Xbox ports lol. Ghost of Yotei may be a 87 but at a 9 for me.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that next. Perfect Image. We're going to go over the reviews for Ghost of Yotei. Yeah, the state of play was really good. You're saying no Xbox ports. Yeah, I mean I'm genuinely asking because I wasn't really paying that much attention, but were people going into this expecting Xbox ports? Because I'll be honest, man, I don't think Sony would announce an Xbox port at their own show. I think that would be kind of like a standalone announcement if they were to do any more. I mean, I know people were talking about Returnal. There was like rumors of Returnal, Xbox, Spider-Man. These things have not happened. Yo, Luna. What? She straight up took down one of my panels. All right, get down. You gotta go. Don't attack me. I'm just telling you to go. Get down. She's acting like I'm gonna attack her, and she's getting in defense mode. Come on, get down. Get down. Her ears are going down. Hey, could you call Luna? Now I'm asking Mrs. MBG to. I'm afraid of this cat. Okay, straight up, I'm afraid of this cat. All right, this is in good faith, guys. We're at 3 members. We still got a ways to go. This is in good faith that we'll get to 25. Also, because I'm scared of Luna. Okay. Whoa. What is? What is like? Why is your ass in my face? Okay, I'm very nervous about what's going to happen right now because Luna and Boss do not get along. Please don't start fighting. You know, having my cats on stream is supposed to be a good thing, something that elevates the channel a little bit and doesn't become a potential problem. But yeah, no, I don't know what Sony's doing with the Xbox stuff. There were no PC announcements either. I honestly, when Gran Turismo popped up, I thought for sure they were announcing it for PC, and they didn't. I'm like, oh, okay, well that's a little bit surprising. So yeah, I don't know. It seems like there's just nothing there.
I wonder if they're gonna add Logan romantic interest in terms of gameplay and story like they did with Spider-Man 2 with Peter and MJ.
I think they will, New Soul. I don't want to say anything more on that though, because I don't want to you know, I did see some of the leaks, so I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but I think, you know, I think there's going to be more there than what they showed, obviously, story-wise. So I guess we'll just have to stay tuned, New Soul. We'll have to stay tuned. I'm sure they changed some things up from the leaks. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be exactly the same. But yeah, Microsoft announced Flight Simulator. The most surprising thing about Microsoft announcing Flight Simulator for PlayStation was the fact that they announced it's in development for PSVR 2 as well. That to me was kind of shocking. I think a lot of people were surprised by that. Maybe we're having a bit of a breakthrough here with Boss and Luna. You know what, though? Now that I said that, there's another pile of treats next to Boss that's in front of Luna, and he looks. Well, this is awkward. Okay, I guess I'll just leave them be. It's an indicator that Xbox games will continue to show up at Sony shows. Yeah, I think this was the first like real. When I say real, I just mean like an internal Xbox Studios title. If I'm not mistaken, that showed up at a state of play. So that was a little bit different, but we did hear about it prior. We've been hearing about Halo for a long time. I don't know when that's going to happen. Apparently it is going to happen, but we don't know exactly when. Santa Monica's new game at the Game Awards. Oh yeah, Diego, thank you for reminding me. Forza Horizon 6 was announced at Tokyo Game Show, and let me see if I can find the actual. Yeah, so it was announced at Tokyo Game Show, and it's going to release on Xbox and PC first, and then come to PS5. But they did say in the announcement that it's coming to PS5. It's like a post PS5 release, is what they said. And what's interesting about it, though, and I did pick up on this, they specifically said that Turn 10 and Playground Games are working together to bring Forza Horizon 6 to PlayStation 5. And I think that's worth noting because we heard that Turn 10 Studios, who used to make the Forza Motorsport games, they were turned into a support studio now. And I think basically what they're saying is that the PS5 version isn't going to be ready day one, and because Turn 10 is going to be the one handling it and working on the port. But I don't know. It could be. Okay, Luna, you gotta get down. You gotta get down. Come on, get down. We're gonna get down now. Okay, she's not listening. I don't know what to do because she won't get down. No, don't drink the coffee. I got her. I got her. I guess I just had to like use my mug of coffee. I should. My Luna repellent. Um but yeah, Forza Horizon 6 is going to be coming to PS5 at some point. I don't think it's going to take years though. That would be an unlikely scenario. I think they want to get Forza Horizon 6 on PS5 relatively quickly because it's clearly going to sell well. But yeah. I saw that, Irfan. Yeah, Nixus Software is helping with the development of Saros. They're working on art, and I think some aspects of the game design potentially. Nixus Software is proving to be, I think, Sony's most valuable acquisition. They put in so much work, dude. Yeah, there was no Yotei trailer at the State of Play. Nixus Software is definitely yeah, actually that Irfan, there's like numerous I don't know if I want to go down this road because the usual suspects are going to claim it's like fanboyism or whatever or copium. But there seems to be like I don't know. I'll save it. I'm not even going to bother. We'll just wait and see. If I say anything more, people are going to just use it against me and they're going to make bad faith arguments and whatnot. So we'll just see what happens. But yes, Nixus, announcing that they're working with Housemarque on Saros. That is new. I don't believe Nixxes has ever announced that they've helped a studio develop a first party game like directly. They've worked on ports, of course, but to actually help in the development as a support studio, I don't think they've done that before. Unless I missed something, which I don't think I did. But yeah, we're definitely going to be talking about Metal Gear today, Tuxedo Snake. Because you're asking, I won't keep you waiting. I'm not diving deep into the Metal Gear topic yet. I do want to dive deep into it because I definitely have things I want to say. But what you need to know is that the Metal Gear remake team, they went on record yesterday, or today technically, it was in Japan, saying that the next one they want to remake is Metal Gear Solid 1. But they said don't take that as a confirmation that that's what they're going to do. But they said they want to remake it. They also said that it will be the most difficult one to remake. And immediately after saying that, they also said that for future Metal Gear Solid remakes, they might not be able to do 1-to-1 remakes like they did for Metal Gear Solid Delta because, and again, people thinking about Metal Gear Solid 1, they're basically saying like, we're going to have to change some stuff, which, but the last thing I'll say is Konami also did say, I think it was Akamura, Naoki Akamura, I think that's his name. He said that he's ready for the challenge. He says it's going to be difficult, but he's ready for the challenge to remake Metal Gear Solid 1. So I think MGS 1 is next, guys. I do. But we'll talk more about that. I think we'll go over the Ghost of Yotei reviews first. I think people want to know about that. But I have a lot to say about Metal Gear. We finally have a release date for the multiplayer. Destin says Costco confirmed they're not selling Xbox consoles going forward. Yeah, we saw, what was that, yesterday it popped up that Costco wasn't, I think they're like the third largest retailer in the world, and they're just like, yeah, we're not selling Xbox anymore. And that was really weird. I don't know, man. I mean, what's I don't know what's left to say. Truthfully, I don't really like talking about Xbox much anymore because the Xbox fan base is so sensitive now. Like they're you just can't really talk about it because they'll just try to turn it on you. Like you're just a fanboy or a console warrior if you talk about any of this stuff. It's like, all right, well, third largest retailer in the world said they're not selling Xbox anymore, so everything's great. Like I don't know what else to say anymore, dude. I almost wonder, dude. I almost wonder, and I will speculate on this though, if like Microsoft is going to set up a kind of, they probably already do. I know that you can like go online and buy an Xbox directly from Microsoft. I wonder if they'll try to like move it more in that direction and cut out the middleman. That would help them increase the profit margins of their hardware. MBG, that's their way of silencing people. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is, dude. And it's crazy. It's crazy because it's like, there's no damage control to be done. Literally, you don't even see Microsoft isn't even damage controlling it. They're just like, yeah, okay, we're just whatever. Even they're not trying to, because they know there's nothing to damage. They've communicated the message very clearly. And I just think that I've also said this before, and I will say it again. I'll say it for as long as I need to. I think that there are many people involved in this space, some big, some small. I think there are people involved that they posture themselves as they are against the console war. The console war is over, and it's childish and it's immature. And yet I think they're the ones basically benefiting the most off of it and like praying that it continues. Like in a way, they're the ones keeping it going. You know, I think you guys see this. I think a lot of people see this, and I've got to a point where it's like I can't even look in the direction anymore because it's just okay. Like it's so obvious like what's going on here that it's not even worth really paying attention to. But yeah, this is the thing though, is like if somebody like me acknowledges that the third largest retailer in the world, I'm pretty sure they're the third largest. I know they're up there. They're like right behind Walmart and Amazon. If I acknowledge this, it's like, well, you're a PlayStation fanboy. Stop console warring. It's like, okay. So instead, what I'll say is, no worries, guys. It's completely fine. It's completely fine if Costco, one of the largest retailers in the world, decided that they don't want to sell Xbox anymore because you can still buy an Xbox anywhere else. You can still go to Walmart. You can still go to Amazon, you know? So they're not gone. You can still buy them. Of what? Hold on, I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Um, Wait, Adama, you went on a tangent? Oh, are you serious? You're saying if you go to Xbox Direct, it tells you to go to retail. They don't even have it. What? That's really bizarre. That's really bizarre. I kind of don't believe that. Well, yeah, man. I guess we'll just see. We'll see what else happens in this space. Tarnish, can I make you moderator? For now, I think we're good on mods. I think I already have too many, or I did have too many. But yeah, that's kind of, I guess, maybe not that surprising to hear that a retailer's dropping Xbox. I don't know. I mean, the demand just isn't there. The demand just simply isn't there, and it doesn't look like the demand's going to go up anytime soon. But if I had to guess, I think like when Microsoft announces whatever the next gen Xbox PC hybrid thing is going to be, I imagine you'll still be able to like at least go to like a Walmart and buy it. I would assume. I don't think all retailers are going to stop carrying them. That would be I think that would surprise a lot of people. That would surprise me even. But yeah, definitely not a good sign. Um but yeah, let's go take a look at Ghost of Yotei reviews. Hold on, let me have to reload the page here. So if we head over to Metacritic, as of right now, I don't know if there's going to be more reviews, but there's 103 critic reviews for Ghost of Yotei, and it's currently sitting at an 87. And like I said, there's one review in particular that seemingly holds a lot of weight from Eurogamer that brought the score down quite a bit. Eurogamer gave it a 6 out of 10. So I'm scrolling all the way down here, but mostly all the reviews are positive. This is just the way it seemingly always goes, where you have a lot of really positive reviews, and then you have just a couple at the bottom that are particularly negative. So Eurogamer has given it the lowest review score of a 6 out of 10, and they say, let me see here. They say Sucker Punch's sequel offers more great swordplay and heartfelt storytelling, but would be better served as a linear action game, freed from its poor side quests and dated open world. So that's a really interesting take. It sounds like this person really wanted Ghost of Yotei to be a linear game. Let me see. So they say here, I still can't figure out how to think about Ghost of Yotei. And honestly, its predecessor, Ghost of Tsushima, even 4 years on. I enjoy these games. I enjoy these kinds of games, even. I'm a sucker, if you'll forgive the pun, for the Sucker Punch style of open world. A kind of diet Assassin's Creed, even lighter, even shallower, even simpler to grasp and follow around. Sword in hand, air in head. Sometimes with video games and their often unfathomable complexity and depth, these games feel like just about all I can handle. Sometimes you just need Love Island, Emily in Paris, and Infinity, blue lit bedtime scroll. What? Okay. And sometimes you snap out of it. The thing that keeps me in the camp of the first option here, the camp of willing lobotomization. What? Oh, okay. I'm telling you, these reviewers, dude, these reviewers, I'm telling you, man, like I try not to do this, but every time I read these like these lower reviews, they're always weird, bro. They are always strange. Like it's just like a strange individual reviewing a game, and the review is very much reflective of that. Um but it says yeah, the thing that keeps me in the camp of the first option is the desire to try and meet this game on its own terms. Forget what Ghost of Yotei is for a second, and especially forget what it's saying it is. I'm sorry. And instead, just focus on what it's actually trying to be. In this sense, Ghost of Yotei is more like a success. It's trying to be a breezy, hell yeah action game wrapped in the aesthetic of hell yeah samurai movies. Less Kurosawa, more 13 Assassins, more mud and blood, more explicitly Western style samurai movie. It's also not trying to be clever about this, or at least I really hope not. Western movies are in the most reductive way about lone wolves imparting justice on the land. In Ghost of Yotei, there's a whole mechanical system built around, well, a wolf. Your allies, actually, just vendors, let's be honest, are called your wolf pack. We're not aiming for subtlety here. Okay. Dude. All right. I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to continue to read this. This person sounds like, and I don't know why, they just sound like they have a stick up their ass with this game for a reason that I don't think I've encountered yet, which is weird. Like, this person just sounds very annoyed at this game. What is this word salad I've walked in on? I don't know. I guess, I'll be honest, man. I feel like some of these reviewers, they try to sound like smarter than they actually are or something, where it's like, dude, what are you trying to say? You don't like Western samurais? Like, samurai skewed media like this? Anyway, it says the setup this time, as it is with just about every don't think too hard action flick, let alone AAA action video game, is a good old tale of revenge. As a child, Atsu's family was brutally murdered by a group known as the Yotei Six, led by the villainous Lord Saito. With her mother and father slain before her and her brother never found again, Atsu was left pinned to a tree by her own father's sword. The tree subsequently set alight, and Atsu left there to die. This and a fiery, emasculately staged Western scene where, amongst some deft tutorialization, you ride into a rotten town, flush out some drunks from a building, and scythe down the snake. The first of the six, making for a cracking opening. Your savagery and blunt refusal to die in this prologue earn you the nickname of Onryo, a vengeful ghost returned from the dead. First, hell yeah, achieved. Soon enough, we're. Uh, this is getting difficult to read. I'm not gonna lie. Okay. So it says, as for those proposed changes, a key one is a suggestion that Ghost of Yotei's exploration is more clue-based and contextual. I can't say that really stands up. You will primarily be following the wind here again, an aesthetically pleasing but ultimately very simple replacement for the classic waypoint. I mentioned this when talking about Tsushima previously. So many points about the game apply again here, but this is ultimately just the infamous Bioshock arrow at the top of your screen, a giant hand pinching you by the nose and dragging you to your chosen destination. Likewise, the golden bird's return, appearing and guiding you, like the wind arrow and a not so hidden side activity when one's nearby. Often, quests might give you a bit of detail and an area to search, which is slightly more clue based in theory. Look for the golden mother daughter tree, for instance. The only issue there is that these tasks aren't exactly hard. In a forest of snow covered trees, a single golden yellow one that shines so bright it could be seen from outer space is not the most challenging to track down. The same goes for the other new system added to exploration. So I just have to say for a second, I just have to say, like, see, the contradiction already is that the beginning of this individual's review, they say they like these types of games. Like, that's like, I could understand this level of, I guess you could just say, like, the dude's acting like he's got a chip on his shoulder with this game or games like this. I can understand if you immediately make it clear that you don't like games like this. But you see, that's the problem. If they admit that they don't like games like this, people are going to ask them, why the fuck did you review it? And I feel like this is the hypocrisy where it's like you start out saying you like games like this, but then you're complaining about literally the things that games like this do. Like, let me guess, it's not Elden Ring esque enough for you because it tells you where to go through wind. It's just hard not to find, like, and I know these reviews are just, it's always the same song and dance, dude. It's like it's just one person's opinion, but it's just crazy, man. It's like, dude, you're giving this game a 6 out of 10. You're starting a review by saying you like these types of games, and then like literally after that, you just proceed to complain about how it's too westernized and it's too handholdy, even though they literally did a fucking state of play showing you that here's how you find stuff in this game. I think what had to happen is this person needs to admit that they don't like games like this. Therefore, you shouldn't review games like this. Because why would you get? It's like trying to get somebody to review a sports game that hates sports. Why would you do it? Why? Oh, let's wait for the user reviews. Oh yeah, they're gonna be wonderful. Elden Ring does tell you where to go. The sun guides you. Oh well, there you go. There you go. Let's see. They say the same goes for other new systems added to exploration in maps. You'll get these from picking up occasional scuttlebutt from talking to NPCs, or you can buy them from the map merchant, who, like all merchants, is don't think about it too hard, present and available at every single settlement you visit, and also frequently turns up whenever you pause to make a camp, even if that's at the top of the mountain or in the middle of a raging war zone. I love the idea. This guy, dude, I'm sorry. This review was written with a level of resentment that I don't think I've come across in quite some time. It's almost comical, dude. Like this person was angrily, like low key angrily typing this review. They were very resentful of this game. Let's see. So I love the idea of them little squares of paper with sketches on them outlining a few identifiable parts of the main map and whatever secret, usually an altar or reflection, which you get a skill point for visiting. They're helping you find. You have to match the sketch to the right location on the main map itself, which is a very neat idea. Unfortunately, in practice, like an awful lot like Ghost of Yotei, It is unbelievably simple. The maps are locked to the relevant region, giving you a pretty small area to search, and will lock into place even when you're only vaguely in the right spot. Given the size of the regions, not huge, and the numerous identifiable parts of the topography, like riverbeds or shorelines, not one of the dozens of these, not one of the dozens of these I uncovered took more than 5 minutes to correctly place. That unfortunately speaks to a wider issue with Ghost of Yotei. Quite often, this game does treat you like an idiot. This is an issue with AAA games as a whole these days. Of course, Yotei is far from the only culprit, but it does seem to have a particular knack for it. While it does an excellent job of removing hand-holding UI clutter, often it's entirely absent, which is a genuine achievement for this type of blockbuster open world and should absolutely be praised as much as it can. It can't help but backseat drive at the first fraction of a second pause. Take climbing, for instance. Yotei's climbs are entirely restricted to gray ledges. Gray is a slightly more artful replacement for Tsushima's yellow paint here, though this can sometimes feel like an attempt to defeat the yellow paint meme by making the paint a different color rather than adding smarter contextual cues or just having the climbing mechanic work differently. It's all very familiar. Most of the time, you climb these narrow pseudo ladders up the side of cliffs by just pressing the L stick in the direction of the pre-marked path, but occasionally there's a small gap for you to press X to jump. If you so as much dare to press X and try to jump and climb a bit faster, or scale a gap that looked like it needed a jump, or stop to scratch your nose, a big press L to climb descriptor appears, you might find you've already gathered that halfway up the mountain 20 hours into the game. So, I have to say, what I am a little bit confused about right now, right? Here's another thing that confuses me about this review. Maybe it'll, as we go further, we'll have a more of an explanation. Apparently this person wishes that Ghost of Yotei was a linear game. And I'm like, so far, nothing they've described even remotely tells me that. In fact, everything I've read tells me you want not only an open world game, but an open world game that doesn't tell you what to do or makes it much harder for you to figure out what to do. You have to figure it out on your own. Actually, it almost makes no sense that they say they want a linear game, because a linear game inherently is easier than an open world game by the fact that you are going one way. You are only going in one direction. You know what I mean? So again, man, like, this review, I'm not, this person's obviously entitled to their opinion, just like every reviewer is, but it's not making much sense so far. It's not making much sense. Would I just make a weird sound? And listen, the reason why I do this, you guys, whenever I cover the reviews for big games that we're anticipating, I always like to check the bottom ones, like the ones that are giving it the lowest scores, because I'm just morbidly curious, for a game that everybody else seems to be enjoying so much. What is it from these reviewers' perspective that's so different, that's making them not enjoy it? And I'm telling you, man, more often than not, it's always kind of this, similar song and dance here, where it's like there's like weird contradicting things being stated and I remember, like, we were talking about this with Metal Gear recently, where like the reviews for Metal Gear Solid Delta, like one of the lower reviews was somebody saying like they didn't change enough, and I'm like, dude, I guess that's fine, but like, surely you know why they didn't do that, right? Like, surely you're aware of like the angry hive that surrounds this game, where you change so much as a single aspect of this game and deviate from Kojima's vision, you know? But yeah, exactly. Hell is Us just came out. Apparently that game is doing, actually, it sounds like that game does everything this person is requesting. But let's keep it going, because I'm curious to see what other points they make. They say Yotei's puzzles are similar culprits. This time, the verbal hints are less of an issue. It's no God of War Ragnarok or Horizon Forbidden West in that sense, thankfully. Instead, it's just the puzzles themselves, which are simple to the point of parody, or just to the point of pointlessness. Before you sit three fox statues in different poses, behind them another statue of a fox doing one of the poses. Press R2 on the statue that matches it. It's easy to wave these things away as nitpicks or minor inconsequential flaws. The climbing tip is really nothing, but it just perfectly illustrates, or it's a perfect illustration of Yotei's wider approach, but doing so misses the real point. The result of all this relentless hand holding is has kind of a flattening effect, a deadening of reward, breaking into the lair of the infamously untraceable Kitsune or tracking down some mythical suit of armor in a far corner of the map. Doesn't feel like the slightest achievement because it requires nothing of you beyond crossing your arms over your chest, sitting down, and allowing yourself to be pushed over the top lip of the water slide. The rest of it is all a downhill tunnel, closed on all sides, a few gentle ups and downs without risk or peril. To think too hard about any specific puzzle, challenge, or moment in Ghost of Yotei would be to try and chew a milkshake. Better to pull your teeth out altogether and save the brain freeze. So, all right, well, at least this section of the review, I do understand where the person's coming from. Again, I think it's not holding up very well, but so far the biggest complaint from this reviewer is that they just feel like the game's too literally just too easy, in that anything you can unlock or anything you can discover, it's all just kind of there, and it does not ask much of you. You just have to like pay some attention, just the least amount of attention. And I can understand that. I can understand how there's a desire where maybe you get like a Ghost of Yotei type game where there is a really difficult piece of art. You know what? Honestly, you know what this person should do? I'll tell you. You know what this person should do? This person should play the Ghost of Yotei Legends multiplayer, and I'm sure they're going to do another raid. There you go. That's exact. You want the challenging puzzles. You want the stuff that's going to make you think and really make you kind of like truly work and figure out how you're going to proceed. Play the raid that comes out with Ghost of Yotei Legends, and there you go. You'll get exactly what you are asking for here. I probably played it on. Oh yeah, we're gonna find out they played it on the easiest difficulty. They did not disclose what difficulty they played it on, as far as I'm aware. Says the impression is that Ghost of Yotei is a game that wants to sand its rough edges down to the point of total sphericality. It wants you to not have to think about it, to not ever be stuck or frustrated outside of maybe its biggest boss fights, which even then rarely offer a challenge and respawn you instantly, often at mid-fight checkpoints without punishment or judgment. It's structurally a linear game. In fact, any missions beyond the basic side quests will typically take place in a strictly linear space. A single route, mountain platforming path, a follow the NPC stroll, a largely locked off enemy encampment or castle with one foe open way forward. I'm being a little harsh here. I like milkshakes and water slides. The point is less of this type of game is an issue. Linear can be brilliant. For instance, a perfect vehicle for the kind of melodrama storytelling and bombast the first Ghost of game loved, but that in burdening this type of game within an open world, we end up in a kind of rigid in-between, and that Sucker Punch, for whatever reason, has failed to improve on the many issues with the studio's first attempt. So I guess what they're trying to say here is that if they're going to do an open world and make so many of the activities easy, it would be better to just make it linear. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think maybe what this reviewer is kind of missing is that a lot of people, again, it brings me back to what he said at the beginning of the review, where it's like many people like this type of game. Like, I don't know that anybody sees a game like Ghost of Tsushima or Ghost of Yotei and goes, this is going to be one of the most challenging, if not most, like, this is going to be a challenging game. I think if you play it at a higher difficulty, the combat will be challenging. And again, as of right now, this person has not disclosed what difficulty they were playing on. But I don't think many people are going to go into a game like this assuming, you know, bro, what the? Please don't spam in the chat. I don't think many people are going to go into a game like Ghost of Yotei and be like, I'm expecting this to, be a very difficult world to discover things in, and I'm gonna have to really like, you know, figure things out. I I just I think everybody kind of knows that. And to go into this expecting. Now, I'll find out for myself. Um I'm gonna play the game and I'll see, like, is it really that easy? Like, is it so easy that it's like, yeah, you're an idiot and we're gonna treat you like an idiot? Because that can get annoying if it's that simple. But I do wonder if this person's just being a bit too reductive with some of it. Because, like, as of right now, this person, I just want to say, in this review, I'm like 6 or 7 paragraphs deep, has not said a single fucking positive thing about this game. I just want to point that out. Like, this person hasn't said a single positive thing. Like, it almost feels like this person encountered a couple of things in their experience that annoyed them, and we're basically like, I'm going to make sure that the first half of my entire review is just going to focus on these things. And they even highlight that they may come off as nitpicks, but it's like, well, yeah, they kind of fucking are. Like, what about everything else? I don't know. I just, I, I guess I'm hoping to one day encounter a review on a game like this where it's reviewing very well and almost everybody's enjoying it, and to encounter the lowest review or one of the lower reviews that actually makes complete sense. Like, at least with Metal Gear, I could at least walk away saying, okay, I get it. You wanted MGS 3 to be changed more, so therefore you enjoyed it less in a remake format. Okay. Like, that's kind of fair. I think it's a bit harsh, but I guess it's relatively fair. I can understand it. This I don't understand. I don't understand this. I don't understand how I'm this deep into this review and they have yet to say a single good thing about this game. But they start the review by saying they like games like this. Anyway, let's continue on. I think it's almost done. It says there are more open world tasks in Ghost of Yotei, for instance. You can now seek out wolf dens and follow them on a fun gallop to a nearby wolf hunting camp to enact some sword justice. But the issue was never the quantity of things to do. It was that each subcategory of things to do was, after a short while, really quite repetitive. Petting a cute fox after it takes me to a little collection of pickable flowers and gives me a charm is lovely. Doing it half a dozen times, heck, even doing it 3 times, gets old fast. Moments that would make for great one-off side quests instead become checkbox busy work, means to an end another minor charm, as opposed to ends in themselves. Likewise, those side quests, the low point of Tsushima, are again the low point of Ghost of Yotei. Once again, side quests amount to helping nameless NPCs with comical busy work that they straight up call it comical, okay, inevitably ends in killing 6 to 12 bad guys. One I thought was surely getting me up for a fun little subversion of that. A guy asked me to help him with a simple task of cutting some bamboo in his garden, which I did. Then 6 to 12 bad guys turned up and I killed them. I'm not gonna lie, dude. Okay, I have to admit, I'll give him that the way that was written, it sounds funny as shit. Like, this guy asked me to help him cut some bamboo, and then before we know it, there were 12 bad guys, and I had to kill them. I will admit, it is comical when you think about with some of these games. If you think about it, some of these games, it's just like, do this relatively normal, harmless thing, and then now suddenly your life is threatened, and you got to fight like 12 dudes for reasons. It's like, okay. Video games. That's funny. It says here, more involved side quests, meanwhile, have, if anything, gotten worse. Wow, that's interesting. The performances of Tsushima's brief but interesting encounters are never matched by the various senseis you encounter here, which all devolve into a very basic series of tasks you've already completed elsewhere. Clear out this enemy camp, fully upgrade this new weapon skill tree, etc. I'm somewhat stunned by the lack of improvement here. Such a clear weak spot for a game with so much potential, and likewise a spot that could also be the game's greatest strength. So clear is the lack of improvement that I actually made a note to reference The Witcher 3 in this review as an example case of not only proper open world game side questing, but also a Western based on a Lone Ranger riding into town and helping out the little folk. Then I realized I've already written that in my Ghost of Tsushima review. This was 4 years ago when Ghost of Tsushima's side quests already felt outdated. Here, they're prehistoric. Combat, thankfully, at least remains a good time and is also a case of genuine improvement on the first game. The camera is better positioned, and there's a lock on option if you want it. I just want to say real quick before I continue that I thought the side quests, like, or the side characters in Ghost of Tsushima were pretty good. I don't think they were like the best I've ever experienced in my life or that there wasn't room for improvement, but I guess I'm just saying that even this person referencing their Ghost of Tsushima review, I didn't feel that way. You're saying Joy Raptor's review says the side quests are much better. Yeah, this is one of those areas where I'm going to have to determine for myself because I did enjoy the side quests of Tsushima, and I enjoyed some of the side characters. Um, yeah, Alma, that's what I'm thinking of. The blue ones. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. Something like The Witcher 3 sets up such a the bar is so high. I understand that it's like, you know, it's going to be tough for a lot of studios to match that. But we'll just finish and then after this we're going to go check out a good review because I want to see the contrast between them. Um but it talks about the combat. Uh Says there is a lock-on option if you want it, though the improved camera largely solved the issue of getting sideswiped by off-screen enemies. For me anyway, there's also a much better range of enemies to slash away at here and a better distribution of skills with which to deal with them. No skills or items I could find that made all attack types parryable, for instance. The flip side is that combat can fairly often devolve into some slightly rock, paper, scissors encounters. Interesting. Shield enemies are now best dealt with via the Kasurigama, for instance, a lengthy chain with a shield smashing ball at the end of it and body slashing scythe at the other. So it's talking, well, I mean, yeah, this is pretty much just covering all the weapons. Says what remains, nevertheless, is a really sharp combat system. That old hybrid of Arkham and Sekiro continues, though the trademark flow of parries and counters has become ever more prevalent since Ghost of Tsushima arrived in 2021. Well, actually 2020. Here, however, it's still wonderfully honed to the character at hand. A sad and furious Atsu, a wounded animal who's animated with glorious brutality and poise. There remains nothing cooler in third-person action games than Atsu standing head to toe in mud and blood, surrounded by the dispatched bodies of dozens of arrogant grunts, flicking her sword free of their blood and slowly guiding it back into its sheath. Likewise, a few new tricks, sorry, add a bit of variance for when a new weapon gets a tad stale. While I never found Yotei's build system to be much of a use at all, given the relative inflexibility of the systems at hand, I did find one way of indexing a bit more towards a certain tactic. I found some armor and skills that together extended my assassination streak and let me lob a kunai or two at the end as well. Coupled with smoke bombs, which let you disappear in a flash, you could go full shinobi here when surrounded. Drop a bomb, assassinate 3 in quick succession, lob a kunai at another, and in a split second, you've wiped out the whole group, all with naturally an abundance of choreographic flair. And so we're approaching the final 2 paragraphs here. It says, as with Ghost of Tsushima, again, Yotei's performances and facial animation, at least in the flashiest pre-rendered cutscenes, remain a highlight. Presentation as a whole can be quite a mixed bag. Those pre-rendered cutscenes are gorgeous, intricately lit, photographed as an immaculate, hold on, I don't know what word that is, of Western style and staples, all letterboxed eyes and doorway silhouettes. The in-engine cutscenes, of which there are far more, are a little clunkier, while on the ground conversations are unfortunately really quite dated again. Expect a lot of very wide, slow panning shots of 2 static marionettes wagging chins at another in an empty field, maybe with a skidding bear in the background. I don't particularly mind this. Video games, it's what they do, but in a game that makes so much noise about its cinematic inspirations, it just doesn't fly. You can't invoke the name of Akira Kurosawa of all directors even once and get away with this. Still, the performances, uh, Erika Ishii gives a pouty, sullen, but sincerely vulnerable and authentic turn as Atsu here. Lord Saito, her arch nemesis, has the perfect gentleness and unnerving warmth to offset here a cruel villain with a cuddly aura and sad eyes that imply a cycle of harm as opposed to plain old evil. that also is Yotei's storytelling strength. Ostensibly, this is a revenge story, but really it's a story of trauma and its recurring nature, laden with anguish, genuine pain, angst. Again, subtlety is often left at the door. Yotei's biggest moments are repeatedly predictable, but in an action flick, that's fine. Without spoiling anything, the only issue is Atsu's arc, as with any for a character who begins at peak vengefulness and must go somewhere. A 30 odd hours of narrative time is hard to reconcile with where the plot needs to go by its conclusion. And the final part here says, as with so much of Ghost of Yotei, though, this all works much better when you just don't think about it. I don't mean this really as a pejorative. Without the overly poo-faced, grandiose vibes of the first game, Ghost of Yotei has a clear vision of what it is. There's less of the clash between modern populist Hollywood and the classics here, less of the tension between high and low art, entertainment art, art and not art, however you choose to define it. This is just straight, well trodden blockbuster stuff. Sometimes that's all I'm after, but often it does have its flaws. And they gave it a 6 out of 10. So that's the lowest review. Now let's go find a really high review from a respectable or just, well known, I guess. Let's see. So many of these places I've just never heard of. Is Gaming Nexus? Are they considered respectable? They give it a 9 out of 10. Meanwhile, Eurogamer Poland gives it a 9 out of 10. By the way, Eurogamer Poland gives it a 9 out of 10. And we will check out the the Digital Foundry. I think it's not just a review, but they do a technical breakdown. I'm curious to see what's going on there. Hold on one sec. Okay. Any Japan outlet review? Digital Foundry has the best breakdown. Yeah, maybe we could just bring that up next. GameSpot gave it a 9 out of 10, which is surprising. GameSpot usually gives low reviews. Yotei is shaped by Atsu, its new protagonist, as you're propelled on a gripping tale of revenge amidst the backdrop of feudal Japan. In 2020's Ghost of Tsushima, protagonist Jin Sakai is a samurai, part of Japan's ruling class during the Kamakura period in which the game is set, when Koden Khan and his Mongolian army attack Jin's home island of
10 tense
Tsushima.
reviews are dishonest too, in my opinion. MBG.
10 out of 10 reviews? Well, yeah, I actually don't know how many reviews gave it a 10 out of 10. Most they're giving it 9s. Push Square gave it a 9. Games Radar 9. Seeing some 9. Game Informer gave it a 93. Not a lot of 10 out of 10s. Game Rank gave it a 10. VGC gave it a 10. That's kind of surprising. I think VGC is somewhat respectable, right? VGC says Ghost of Tsushima always felt like it was late to the party, while the game sold extremely well and was loved by not only fans, but also the people of the Japanese island it portrayed. Luna, get down. You can't be knocking that stuff over. It was a decidedly mid-2010s open world game, releasing at the peak of open world fatigue. That's really interesting if that's how they're opening their review. You know what? Hold on. What did they give Ghost of Tsushima? BGC Ghost of Tsushima review. This is interesting to me. And it's not the same reviewer though, damn it. So it doesn't, okay. Well, different reviewers, but VGC, representing the same outlet, VGC gave Ghost of Tsushima, they gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Now they're giving Yotei 5 out of 5 stars. Say that along with chanted criticism about 100 Fox Dens and endless hot springs clearly informed Ghost of Yotei. And while some of the echoes of open world games of the past still linger, Sucker Punch's Samurai sequel is a stronger game in every department. Ghost of Yotei explodes into life with a level of pace and expediency that is so lacking from games of its scale. You are Atsu. Your family's been slaughtered by the Yotei 6. You are instantly on the hunt. There isn't the story of how Atsu became the ghost. She's already a self-trained killer. The game's opening sequence is one of the strongest in years and is clever, knowing juxtaposition for the first game's opening. Jin's battle was against an army. Atsu's is personal. The game's main quest sees Atsu going after the Yotei 6 deadly killers spread across the map. While the game presents some non-linearity to how you tackle the Yotei 6, this freedom isn't really there. While you can choose which of the first two you go after first, this is not an Assassin's Creed style list of targets for you to pick whenever you want. While this level of freedom may have been interesting, the extended quest lines that lead to each of the Yotei 6 are teeming with great characters and stellar performances. Each of the quests is tied to a region and often tied to a new weapon, which you can choose to add to your arsenal to ignore completely. These long chains of missions hunting down the Yotei 6 are fun, but at times they feel like they go on for 1 or 2 missions too long. This, unfortunately, slows down a lot of the pacing and urgency the game kicks off with and doesn't quite wrestle back. The regions are also populated with authored side content that ranges from significant side content like a long map spanning quest to hunt down an unkillable dueling master to smaller things like camps that can be taken down. Camps, bamboo strikes, fox dens, hot springs, and more are still there. There are just far less of them. See, this is what I'm talking about. Where it's like, I know that this VGC review is giving it a 10 out of 10, but literally in the first few paragraphs that I've read so far from this review, it's already informed me more so of what this game is doing and offering and what it's doing differently compared to Tsushima, to whereas the 6 out of 10 Eurogamer review, literally, I'm telling you, half of that review was this dude crying about how things are too easy to do. It's just funny to me where it's like, bro, it's not even like a bias towards, well, I want to listen to a 10 out of 10 review. It's just like, no, the 10 out of 10 review is literally being way more informative. Well, it says here, camps, for example, tie into a final big quest with Sensei, who gave you that region's melee weapon. Wolf dens have their own storyline that give Atsu access to abilities. Gaining skill points in the game is tied to finding shrines. There's a reason to do everything. Whether that reason is enough for the player to take time out to do those things will end up varying from person to person, but at the very least, Yotei makes things much easier for completionists. So that's interesting. This person who's reviewing it, Jordan Midler, says that they made it easier for completionists, and I guess for somebody else that annoys them. It says an in-game cartographer will also sell you maps to notable locations such as altars and hot springs. A passerby will occasionally stop you and point you in the direction of abandoned camp. It's more natural, still very in a video game way, to populating an open world. See, even just something as little as that last reviewer didn't mention, that apparently you'll get stopped occasionally by a passerby that'll point you in the direction of a camp. Like, to me, that's not really traditional. Like, that, to me, that's the opposite of like, okay, now go here on your map. We marked it on your map. To me, that actually is very much like, I'm going to explore the world, and if I run into somebody, they're going to give me a little piece of information that I can use. Like, that's definitely different from Tsushima. It says Ghost of Yotei's combat is similar to the first game, but instead of various stances, and we get different weapons, Atsu now has access to multiple melee weapons. These weapons don't appear to be mandatory, but can be acquired whenever the player wants. But they do make fighting that region's enemies far easier. While the new weapons are fun, the game's combat is at its best when it's 1v1 with a katana. Interesting. All of this is an aid to Atsu's story. Erika Ishii's performance is stellar, and in Atsu, they've created a lasting modern PlayStation icon. That's interesting. Ishii's ability to convey to slightest flickers of doubt and rage across their performance is incredible, aided, of course, by the ridiculous visuals and performance capture. Atsu's tale of revenge and bloodlust isn't anything revolutionary from a storytelling perspective, but it's the skill with which it's executed that had us hooked. The game's side characters are also excellent, with the story of the Kitsune being a particular highlight. The game's great writing extends throughout even smaller content like bounties. In other games, bounties like these could be so inconsequential as to be procedurally generated, but in Ghost of Yotei, they're often harrowing, one-shot story sides to them. See, this this is making more sense to me because I'm like, yeah, it's reminding me the way that this reviewer is talking about Yotei is reminding me of a lot of the shit that I encountered in Tsushima, where like you do encounter like those small little tales and those stories, and they like create this, I don't know, like just this interesting sense of curiosity around what it is you're pursuing. I'm gonna be honest, bro. That that Eurogamer review, I think, was just ass. I'm gonna be honest. Like there's like no compelling points in there. Um, I guess if you're just not into the like that review may as well just have said if you're not into these types of games, you won't enjoy it. But this review is saying the opposite. They're saying the side characters are excellent. Um, they're praising the writing. Says the Yotei 6 themselves don't get as much time to develop as we had liked, though, despite the length of their missions. Their status as ruthless murderers is well established, and the Kitsune storyline gets adequate time to develop. The others feel slightly undercooked. Ghost of Yotei's presentation is outstanding. It will come as no surprise to anyone who played the first game that Ghost of Yotei's visuals are masterful. Best in class environmental art, an incredible color palette, and excellent direction make for one of the most beautiful games on the platform. Sony's first party stable has been in a visual arms race for over a decade now, and we're just shocked at the level of fidelity that this level of fidelity can still blow us away. The game offers 4 graphical modes: quality, which targets 30 FPS in exchange for higher non specified resolutions; performance, which targets 60 FPS at a lower resolution; ray tracing, which enables high quality lighting and non specific intermediate resolution; and ray tracing pro, exclusive to the PS5 Pro, which targets 60 FPS with high quality lighting. We played through the entire game using the ray tracing pro, and it's a visual feast. Dude, I didn't even know that there was ray tracing in this game, and it's apparently exclusive to the Pro. Yo, that is pretty sick. I'm surprised by that. Um, Says Ghost of Yotei's loading times are nothing short of ridiculous, fast traveling from one end to the map to the other is quite literally a 1 second fade from location to location. The game's music is also excellent. Atsu's shamisen is both an important narrative device and provides a lot of the game's score. The interstitial music while exploring the world is moving, and are the occasional lyrical songs that appear during climactic moments. Feels like there's not much more the studio can wring out of the open world formula these days. Ghost of Yotei doesn't totally reinvent open world games or throw away the genre conventions entirely. It probably won't bring back those who've completely turned away from the prospect of a massive map and a dozen of enemy bases to take down, but by leaning more heavily into longer character stories that use the open world framework as a storytelling device and tying content that would be ancillary in Tsushima into main quests, Yotei delivers an open world epic without the majority of the bloat. While overlong at times, the game's presentational prowess, stellar performances, and vibrance makes it a world we'll continue to wander through long after we've slaughtered the last of the Yotei 6. So the final paragraph says, Go to Ghost of Yotei review. Ghost of Yotei fulfills much of the promise of Ghost of Tsushima, delivering a hugely enjoyable open world game that almost rids itself of Tsushima's bloat, pacing issues, and some underdeveloped villains aside. Yotei improves on the original game in every development and delivers best in class visuals and music. 10 out of 10. So there you go, man. I gave you the lowest score and one of the highest scores. And you can, and there's a lot of in between, but I think you can kind of decipher. We'll go check out the Digital Foundry one now. Just give me a second to set it up. Over here. Yeah, I didn't watch the Digital Foundry video yet. what the? Okay.
When building a sequel to a successful game, developers often walk a fine line. Stick too closely to the original and risk stagnation. Stray too far, and you might lose your dedicated audience. Early impressions suggested Ghost of Yotei leaned toward the former, but the final result reveals something more compelling. Not only is Yotei a remarkable sequel, it's also a visually stunning and confidently executed evolution of the original. As before, Ghost of Yotei opens with sweeping, living landscapes that stretch out endlessly towards the horizon. The game's opening title sequence expertly combines perfectly placed musical notes
the
with
game
the
looks
appearance
beautiful.
of the primary companies
It
involved,
really does.
followed by
It looks better than
a
any of the
title
trailers
card.
I've seen.
The power of such a sequence cannot be understated. It sets the tone for what's to come, and Ghosts of Yotei pulls it off beautifully. But before you take to the fields at the foot of the mountain, you're introduced to the character Atsu, whose family is murdered before her eyes at the foot of a burning tree by Lord Saito and his gang. We're then treated to a beautifully animated, ink-style introduction sequence. Atsu has returned to her homeland 16 years later, with an eye for revenge. You begin by cleverly writing the names of your targets using the touchpad, which serves as your belt during your journey. The introduction mission
Sucker Punch
focuses
always
on
finds a way
the
to
snake.
use the
During
the
this
features
sequence,
of
I immediately
DualSense or
noticed that the game
DualShock.
seemed to be running near 4K at 30 frames per second. Naturally, I headed straight to the options menu to see if 60 FPS was available instead. What I discovered was a welcome surprise. You see, Ghost of Yotei supports ray tracing. Now, ray-traced lighting is a perfect match for an expansive game like this, yet prior to release, any online search pairing Ghost of Yotei with ray tracing would have come up empty. It's a feature the developers have never promoted or even mentioned, but it's here, quietly waiting to be found, and the results are excellent both on the base and professional PlayStation 5s. If you're playing on a PS5 Pro even, you can enjoy it at a full 60 frames per second. But of course, you might wonder, what does it actually do? Well, in a word, global illumination, but with some limitations. Essentially, it seems to add an additional pass of ray trace lighting to the scenery, allowing for proper, precise bounce lighting with color transfer. To illustrate what I mean, check this out. Without ray tracing enabled, the pots visible in this scene exhibit a moderate orangish glow as a result of the sun, but it lacks any sort of precision and direction, and the shadowed areas are dark. Enabling ray tracing, however, immediately showcases a stark difference. Light travels from the window, bounces off the wooden shelf, and light is reflected up onto the underside of each clay jug. It's very localized and precise, suggesting a per-pixel solution. What it essentially means is that the scenes are lit with increased precision and realism, and while not as robust as games designed from the ground up for RTGI, the results are excellent all the same, and is my recommended way of playing the game. You can clearly observe here how ray tracing contributes to subtle light bounce effects. Note the illumination visible on the underside of Atsu's hat, a detail that would be absent using a purely rasterized solution.
Yeah, I love
this
how Sucker Punch
implementation
just, like,
simply allows for a more
randomly
robust
comes out and is like,
simulation of
yeah,
light
we do a little bit of
transport.
ray tracing too.
That said, While it does greatly enhance the presentation as you've seen here so far, the implementation itself appears to be a hybrid of sorts, likely building on the existing probe-based system. It's evident in how NPCs tend to stand out visually. They lack the grounded integration you'd expect if they were part of the ray tracing acceleration structure, not unlike what we've seen in software-based Lumen implementations. The game also still leverages a lot of screen space effects such as ambient occlusion, as opposed to the more natural contact shadows you might get from a more robust RTGI. Interestingly, Atsu herself seems to be treated differently. I noticed color bleed from her outfit appearing on nearby geometry such as trees, the light from the sun bouncing off of it. You'll note that even when she's occluded from view, the tree exhibits a residual yellow glow, which suggests that she alone may be included in the BVH structure, allowing for more accurate light interactions where it matters. Now, this isn't as comprehensive or robust as the full RTGI suite seen in other games, such as Doom: The Dark Ages, but the inclusion of ray tracing here still elevates the visual presentation to the next level, allowing it to feel like a noticeable upgrade over the PS4 original. It adds nuance and depth to the lighting model, and for those playing on PS5 Pro, I'd absolutely recommend playing with this mode. That said, the traditional rasterized lighting path remains impressive in its own right. Technically, it's comparable to the original game, but the artistry has evolved. The environments feel more cohesive and visually rich this time, even though they were already beautiful in the original. Many of the strengths we highlighted in the original video return here. The volumetric cloud simulation, for instance, is once again superb with minimal breakup and excellent variation. It really breathes life into these landscapes. The overall atmospheric light scattering, especially when standing atop a tall mountain, is breathtaking. Weather effects build on the foundation laid by the previous title as well, and the addition of dynamic particles and foliage adds a layer of realism to every scene. A particularly delightful touch is the interaction with the foliage, specifically sprinting through leaf-covered arenas leaves behind trails of leaves, fluttering and scattering in your wake, a subtle but effective detail. The original had something like this too, but it was much less robust, as you can see, not leaving the trails or producing as many leaves. So it's a noticeable upgrade. Beyond this, the game's bold color palette and vibrant landscapes are beautifully presented using HDR. Yotei leverages the full dynamic range, delivering stark contrast between shadowed interiors and brilliant sunlight. On a calibrated HDR display, it's breathtaking, and this video is of course presented in HDR, so if you have such a display, it should give you an idea. But of course, the settings that I captured with here were adjusted for my TV specifically, and it can vary. But arguably the most impressive aspect of the visual design lies in its sense of scale, not just in terms of map size, but in its perception. Sucker Punch has truly mastered the art of making the world feel vast. Sweeping valleys curve into towering mountains, and the terrain design amplifies the illusion of grandeur. It's not just big, it feels big. A subtle distinction, but a meaningful one. This is further enhanced by smart environmental cues, plumes of smoke such as those indicating key points on the map, shifting weather patterns, and fields of white flowers guide the player organically. Ride through these flowers and you're rewarded with a traversal speed boost, a clever touch that gamifies exploration without breaking immersion. The sheer density of reactive foliage, all swaying and responding to your movement, reinforces the sense of a living, breathing world. It's wonderful stuff. Equally, the character models are impressively detailed once again, just like the first game. From facial features and eye rendering that you can see in this scene, which are very realistic, to the weapons of battle carefully dangling from her outfit. The in-game models are top tier, and you can zoom way in and still see a ton of detail. It's definitely a strength of the game's visuals. I'd also say that the actual animation in-game is superb, with smooth movement, especially during combat, that does feel even better than the original game. Your horse then plays a role as well, and looks great in this game as you barrel through huge fields.
I just want to say for a second here, because I just can't help but noticing this. Dude, the video footage here that Digital Foundry is showing looks way better than any of the trailers that they've shown. Like, I almost wonder if something went wrong with all the uploads or something that Sony put out, because I don't know how else to explain it. Like, this looks just way better. Like, it looks a lot sharper. It looks a lot clearer. It looks close to what I would, I guess, expect it to look like running on my PlayStation natively. So I don't know if maybe like the stuff they were showing was like an older build or something. But I just wanted to point that out. Like, I don't know if anybody else is noticing that. My stream, what's coming through to you guys, is capped at 1080p, so you might not be seeing it the same. But I'm watching this Digital Foundry video 4K 60, and yeah, I don't know. It just looks a lot better. Really strange. I'm not just saying that either. Like, it's like noticeable.
Of grass. If we shift over to story sequences then, there's still a significant distinction between the high-quality cinematic scenes and normal dialogue sequences. So the cinematics, the big story moments, these are of impeccable quality with brilliant lighting, effects, framing, and animation work. They were already excellent in the original game, and that's the case here with even more visual flair. I'll talk more about this shortly, but I do want to mention that the storytelling in this game is also leagues beyond the original. It's very well done. However, not every scene can realistically be produced this way, so exactly like the first game and many other open world games to be fair, these secondary scenes are used instead, and in this game the animations are rather limited, so the gap between the two feels a little greater than usual. This is an area where Horizon Forbidden West massively improved on its prequel, but here it's not all that different from the previous title. It's kind of similar to something like the Like a Dragon series, which has these amazing directed cutscenes with subpar character interaction sequences. But while we're on the animation, there's something else I wanted to touch on. In my original video, I complained about this, specifically the way the character interacts with slopes and steps. It's not a huge deal, but it does influence how the character
why did I never notice that playing
interacts with
Tsushima?
the terrain while simply walking or running. Did they improve it? Well, this time it does seem that foot IK, inverse kinematics, is used here, but the actual movement and animation when walking up and down slopes or stairs still doesn't properly reflect the terrain. It's a lot like the first game, which means when doing these actions, it looks a bit awkward. I was really hoping they would solve it, but alas, here we are. Another holdover from the last game is the reliance on screen space reflections with cube maps as the fallback, for reflections of course. By and large, it works well enough, but as usual, the typical SSR artifacts do rear their head from time to time, and unsurprisingly, cube maps don't always match the scenery. Still, aside from those tiny nitpicks, the overall presentation in this game is fantastic. It's a beautiful game, a beautiful world, and a wonderful evolution of the original. It still has its weaknesses, but overall, I do think Ghost of Yotei is a stunning, evocative experience, and I'm always happy to see a non-Unreal Engine-based open world game hit the scene. So, let's say you're jumping in, you're sold on the game, you want to give it a shot. You might be wondering then, what's the best way to play? After all, when you open up the options menu, you'll find up to 4 different graphics modes, 3 on the base PS5 and 4 on PS5 Pro. So what do they do and how do they impact the game? When starting the game for the first time then, Yotei targets 30 frames per second with a resolution of 3840 by 2160 or native 4K, without ray tracing. If you're looking for the best image quality, this is the mode to go with. When counting the base PS5, I usually got around 28 out of 30 pixels, so the resolution is a little below 4K, but the image quality is still excellent. Then there's the performance mode, which targets 60 frames per second. This one drops down to around 1440p, also without ray tracing. The base PS5 version, however, is closer to 1080p, just slightly above. Then there's the normal ray tracing mode, which is capped at 30 frames per second, but is available on both regular and professional PlayStation 5s. This one comes in around 1728p or so from what I found, but closer to 1440p on the base system. and thanks to the excellent TAA in the game, it's still very sharp and crisp, but you can use RT features. My favorite mode though is the RT Pro option. This one offers 60 FPS gameplay with ray tracing, but it also leans on PSSR for anti-aliasing and upsampling, at least as far as I can tell. The base resolution is a lot lower though, weighing in around 1080p, but the overall image quality is still pretty good in most scenes. But I did find an occasional issue, like here, look at this fine-grained cloth pattern. It's okay enough in the other mode, right? But when you switch to the RT Pro mode, you see a lot of extra noise and sparkle here, likely as a result of PSSR. Conversely, there are areas where the PSSR version has advantages over even the highest resolution quality mode. Like here, there's more stability on the wooden planks on the side of this house, specifically when using PSSR. Honestly, in terms of overall image quality, I do tend to think that the PSSR version trades blows with the highest resolution 4K mode. It's really good. The thing is though, I can't really say that any of the modes are bad per se. They each have their own trade-offs.
Okay, so that is actually kind of crazy what he just said there. He just pretty much said that if you're playing this game on the PS5 Pro in the Ray Tracing Pro mode, it's 60 FPS with ray tracing, and it's using PSSR, and it's pretty much matching the quality mode visually. That's crazy. I have to say I was not expecting that.
And all deliver the expected results. So it's basically about tilting the needle in the direction that you prefer, right? And this is also true of performance, which thankfully is rather dull. You see, the 30 FPS modes deliver 30 FPS, and that's that. In my testing, I actually struggled to find even a single dip when using these two modes, but you would expect that, right? It's 30 FPS. 60 frames per second though is where things get a little more interesting, because if you recall, the state of play featuring this game recently exhibited major performance problems, which left me wondering about the state of the game and its final release. Thankfully, the final game does not have these issues. The overwhelming majority of the time, it delivers a completely locked 60 frames per second without leaning on VRR at all. It's just completely stable. And it was smooth on both the Pro and base consoles. After about 15 hours of play though, I did actually finally find some slowdown, and it occurred during this battle here. But the key here is that the day one patch, which is supposed to arrive alongside the launch of the game, very specifically says that they will be implementing performance improvements for big battles in dense spaces, like this I assume. So given how rare slowdown seems to be already in this current build, I would say we're looking pretty good for launch, and this may be completely cleaned up by then. All this is to say that the frame rate situation is excellent, and by and large, you shouldn't encounter many dips at all, so the news on this front is great. That said, beyond the frame rate, I noticed a couple of very odd performance-related bugs. Basically, in exactly 2 instances, the game randomly started dropping the sound, and then suddenly, it seized up. I thought the whole thing crashed, but after 10 to 20 seconds or so, the game actually came back and continued as normal. It's hard to say if this is a pre-release bug or not, and maybe it'll be fixed by the time the game launches, but I wanted to flag it here in case you encounter it. So to summarize the presentation, the team has done a great job balancing improvements with development time. It's not a complete overhaul of their tech from the last game by any means, but it also kinda didn't need to be, and what's here looks fantastic. The improvements are certainly welcome. Beyond that, it has great image quality across the board in every mode, and runs almost perfectly with only the occasional hiccup here and there. So that's all good stuff, right? But there's another strength I have not touched on yet, and that's the audio. When it comes to building atmosphere and selling the world, sound and sound mixing are extremely important. In that sense, Yotei is a masterpiece. For starters, cutscene audio is mixed almost like a film, with active use of all available sound channels, or the surround sound effect of the PS5 when using headphones, along with excellent clarity on speech and separation of the sound effects. Take a listen.
あの女だ。
迷子か？
昔なじみを探してる。妖帝六人衆。
つまみ出せ。
The Kurosawa mode also returns, which obviously changes the look, but something I didn't mention before is that it also influences the sound to more closely resemble classic Kurosawa films like this.
殺してやる。
剣吾という火事が作った刀だな。
それがどうした？
俺の父だ。
お主、松か。
圧だ。
But the key thing here is the ambiance, the soundscape you hear while actually playing. Whether you're using headphones or a surround sound setup, there's some serious immersion here. For instance, exploring the countryside during a rainstorm yields remarkable results. Just listen carefully to this next sample. Pay attention to how the rain sound itself actually changes based on your position, and you can sort of hear the water bouncing off different types of objects all around you, not to mention the surround sound effect of the music being played in the nearby inn, and everything else. Just pay close attention. When things heat up as well, it sounds great too. That same scene here, only during combat, sounds like this. But then there's the Watanabe mode, which is a collaboration between Sucker Punch and Shinichiro Watanabe, director of Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo. Now, this sounds silly on paper, pairing lo-fi beats with a game like this, but it's also a tribute to Nujabes, the late composer for Samurai Champloo, and honestly, I was kind of surprised at how well it works. Just listen to this here.
Whiskey Gaming is getting so hyped for the audio.
Given the type of story they're telling, it fits better than I expected. It's good
Dude,
stuff.
that's crazy.
So basically, if you
It
have a
actually
good
fits
sound
so
system,
well.
or at least a solid set of cans, crank this game up and soak it all in, because it's one of the best sounding games I've heard thus far this year. Before we go though, I want to talk briefly about the game itself. There were a lot of things to love in the original, but I also kinda bounced off it. The pacing just didn't do much for me, and while I did have some fun, I didn't enjoy it as much as I had hoped. Ghost of Yotei, however, despite pre-release expectations, has managed to grab my attention in a way that the original never did. I think it comes down to a few things. Firstly, the characters and storytelling are simply more compelling this time. Conceptually, you're hunting down the Six, and each one has its own unique area and story beats.
See, that's really interesting to me because one of the strongest points for Ghost of Tsushima, in my opinion, was the story and Jin and the characters. And so everything I've heard so far, like I haven't obviously read a ton of reviews, but the few that I have, including Digital Foundries now, they're all saying the story is like really, really good. The writing's really good, the story's really good, the characters are really good, even better than Tsushima. And I'm like, I have to admit, I will be shocked if that turns out to be the case because I have to say I'm not going into this game assuming it's going to be a better story than Tsushima. So that's a pleasant surprise so far. But yeah, dude, we'll watch the last like 2 minutes of this, but really glad I actually watched this because I think this Digital Foundry video got me more excited for this game than literally anything else even like any of Sony's marketing. The game looks better than anything I've seen. They're showing off the pro mode, which is kind of surprise. It's gonna have ray tracing. The audio sounds incredible. The game, it seems like it's gonna be awesome. Gotta say, I'm quite impressed.
The personalities are ramped up, making encounters more interesting as well. You really want to see where it'll go next, and the way your character interacts with everyone is also very compelling. It's reminiscent of classic films such as Lady Snowblood, especially when they toy with things from the past and present. But it's what happens in each of these locations that surprised me the most. Rather than focusing on simple repetitive tasks, which is kind of what we saw in the original, there's just a lot more variety this time. There are separate, unique areas dedicated just to the story scenes. There's new interior spaces, underground areas, and more to explore. There's puzzles to solve, unique combat scenarios, and more. When taking down something like a base as well, if you just rush straight for the boss, he'll call in his guards at a certain point, overwhelming you in the process. But if you stealth through instead, eliminating guards first, you can thin out the numbers, changing the encounter in the process. So even these types of scenarios feel more varied. The key is that there is just more variety and more unique crafted scenarios to enjoy, the kind you might expect from a more linear game like God of War, along with improvements to the overall open world flow of the game. Plus, the new maps are more beautiful and interesting to explore, and the hunt for each of the Six really does feel unique. In fact, I could hardly put this game down during coverage. I just kind of wanted to keep going. In that sense, it might stand as one of the very best games Sucker Punch has ever made. Really impressive work here. Overall then, we do have this beautiful, smooth performing, great sounding game with an excellent story, engaging characters, and solid gameplay. I went into it expecting just more of the same, but I walked away genuinely loving it. It is the better game. But that's going to do it for this video, so I hope you enjoyed it.
Well, damn, dude. Sold. I am sold. Like, bro, I had a feeling that Eurogamer review was garbage that I was reading. I had a feeling it was a pretty awful review. But I have to admit, like, after like seeing a lot of the game now presented like this and listening to Digital Foundry's review, listening to VGC's review, it's like, yeah, man, I think it's I think this is gonna maybe end up being a game of the year contender. I gotta see how all this plays out for me because Tsushima is an incredible game, in my opinion. Tsushima is an incredible game, and I have to say I'm not anticipating Yotei to surpass it. I would be very surprised if I walk away after playing Yotei and I'm like, this actually surpassed Tsushima. But a lot of what I'm seeing, it's like, okay, there's just more here than I realized. So I'm excited, man. And it's crazy. They dropped the reviews 8 days early, man. So there we go. I'm gonna take this down for a second though. Let me see if there's any update to the Metacritic though. Any more reviews? If any more reviews have come in. Let's see. So it's still sitting at an 87 with 103 reviews. Well, what do you guys think? I mean, I know a lot of you guys were already going to pick up the game. But did going over the 6 out of 10 Eurogamer review and the 10 out of 10 VGC and then also Digital Foundries, did it change your opinion either way? Or your thoughts on it? Really? That's an interesting take, Broccoli Rob. Garrett says absolute cinema. MVP Moss, you're hyped for the game. Oathbreaker, you're saying no romance confirmed. I don't know. They're not saying too much about the story. I guess they don't want to spoil anything. Digital Foundry sold you. Whiskey, you're more excited. Whiskey's ready for that 10 out of 10 audio experience, bro. Mr. B, you're more excited. Petrov, 95 out of 100. TC still super excited. Yeah, I have to admit, I'm feeling more excited to play it after going over this stuff than I was before. I have to admit. That Digital Foundry video, yeah, I have to say that really sold me on it. Digital Foundry, I would say, did a better job presenting the game than I think even Sony did, because they really, like, I don't know. I'm very impressed. Seems like Sucker Punch really cooked here. I'm glad though. I'm glad. But we do have one more topic to discuss, guys, and this one I'm actually very excited to talk about with you. I know we have a lot of Metal Gear Solid fans here, and for those who are unaware, TGS has begun, Tokyo Game Show. And last night, it was very late at night because it was in Japan, Konami hosted another Metal Gear Hotline, which is kind of like it's almost like a little event focused on Metal Gear. It's kind of similar to, I guess, the like Silent Hill events that they would do. I forgot what they were called. But they did one for Metal Gear Solid, and we got some really good information. One of the bigger things that we learned, and I don't know how many of you guys are going to care about this. We learned about the Metal Gear Collection Volume 2. We learned about the next remake, but we also learned about the Fox Hunt multiplayer mode, the Metal Gear Solid multiplayer, that if you bought Metal Gear Solid Delta, you're going to get this for free. So I'll give you a rundown of everything important that they revealed. This was actually compiled by somebody on Reddit who did translations. And so the Metal Gear Solid Hotline yesterday, Konami confirmed they're hard at work on the Metal Gear Solid IP. They said, and they confirmed, that the Metal Gear Solid Volume 2 collection has been in production for quite some time now, and details about it will be revealed soon. So that's a little bit of a surprise, just in the fact that, like, they're just flat out saying, like, yeah, it's happening and we're going to be revealing it and talking about it soon. My voice too low? Hold on, let me move the mic closer. And so, the Metal Gear Solid Collection Volume 2 is something that people are really anticipating because, well, the big one here is Metal Gear Solid 4. There's no way Collection 2 does not feature Metal Gear Solid 4, and Metal Gear Solid 4 is still locked on the PlayStation 3. So that's good news. Maybe they'll have Peace Walker, maybe they'll bring MGS 5 with that. So they did confirm that. That was like a pretty significant confirmation we got during that hotline. They also confirmed that the Metal Gear Solid Collection Volume 1 is getting one last major update in the next couple of weeks. They said a new update for Metal Gear Solid Delta has already been released. I think it was just released this morning. They're working to fix performance across every platform. The PS5 Pro specifically is going to be getting multiple performance modes, and they're going to add 21:9 resolution support. They said that Metal Gear Solid Delta's multiplayer Fox Hunt will release on October 30th, so it's kind of annoying. I'm going to show you guys footage of this, by the way, but it's kind of annoying that it's still an entire month away. I have to admit, I thought for sure it was going to release sooner. Hold on, let me close some of this. But yeah, the Fox Hunt game mode is releasing October 30th. It's 12 players PvP where you work as a duo against 5 other teams. And Akamura, so the team was asked about what the next Metal Gear remake is going to be. And Akamura, who I think is the one who, I think he's like the head of the entire Metal Gear Solid team, Naoki Akamura, or at least the head of the remake, he said that he wishes he could remake Metal Gear Solid 1, but he did state that this is not an official confirmation that that's the next one they're doing. But he also said that it would be the hardest game to remake, but he is ready to take on the challenge. He also stated shortly after that when they made the choice to remake Metal Gear Solid Delta, they decided to keep it a 1-to-1 scale remake, but this may differ from other remakes. A 1-to-1 scale might not be possible for other Metal Gear Solid remakes. So, you know, I'll be honest, I'm kind of looking at this as like he's basically letting us know. Now, I know he says it's not confirmed, but he's basically letting us know that we're probably going to remake Metal Gear Solid 1 next. And when we do, it's going to be difficult, and it's probably not going to be a 1-to-1 remake because it can't be. And it's really interesting to hear them talk about this because I've been talking to you guys about how, like, I don't think they could do a 1-to-1 remake of a Metal Gear Solid 1 remake if they wanted to do that. I think that they would have to change quite a bit. I think it would be a very difficult task for them. I think it would be very challenging. I think it would be something that requires a lot of precision, and they're already talking about it. They're already kind of I mean, they're kind of already there. So I got to admit, oh, and there's something else, by the way. You guys know I've talked to you about my love for Metal Gear Online, and when this Fox Hunt multiplayer mode was announced, I was a little bit devastated that it wasn't Metal Gear Online returning. They were asked during this Metal Gear Hotline event if Metal Gear Online is something they're still considering. And the answer they gave was that they are still considering it and they're thinking about it. But right now, they just want to see how players react to this Fox Hunt multiplayer. And they went on to say that basically, if they do end up making Metal Gear Online, they will just kind of absorb the Fox Hunt mode into it. And I want to show you guys this Fox Hunt multiplayer mode because I told you, I was like, they're probably doing more with this game mode than what they're letting on. Don't forget, and I know this is a crazy comparison, but do not forget that Fortnite Battle Royale, the most popular video game in the world, or one of the most popular video games in the world, and one of the most played games in the world, also started out just as a game mode. Okay, I think Konami and I think the team with Metal Gear, I think they're going to try to make a play for like a full-blown big live service Metal Gear multiplayer experience that, you know, can live on for years and years. I want to show you some of this Fox Hunt gameplay, and I think you'll see what I mean. see. So, and I've been dying to see this gameplay. Let's see if they'll show it. Here we go.
ではまず本も
Hold on. Yeah, so they're gonna be speaking Japanese, and I don't know what they're. I'm gonna be honest. I want the chat to help me here. Also, why does it look so shitty though? It's so compressed. This is like a stream of a stream, so I'm sorry that it looks so shitty. But I need you guys to help me out here because they're speaking Japanese. I don't know what they're saying, obviously. And there's so much going on in this mode that I don't understand like what you're doing in this game. It just looks like there's way more to it. It's not like a simple, I don't want to say it's a battle royale. It's not a team deathmatch. I don't know what's actually going on. I'm sure somebody translated it somewhere.
ではまず本モードの最も重要なアクションである隠れるアクション AT カムについてです。AT カムはですね、瞬時に展開格納が可能なギリスーツで、さまざまな迷彩パターンを切り替える。
So I just want to say, like, even just what they're showing here, bro. I fucking love the idea that they're doing like, I mean, they're calling it AT camo, but it's basically almost like the Octo camo, dude. I fucking love that. Like, there's an auto translate in closed captions. Is there? I don't see it though. Oh, okay. Oh, shit. I never knew this was a thing. Oh. Yo, what? I've never known about this. I never knew. I never had to use this before. Okay, let's try this again. Shit.
ではまず本モードの最も重要なアクションである隠れるアクション AT カムについてです。AT カムはですね、瞬時に展開格納が可能なギリスーツで、さまざまな迷彩パターンを切り替えることで、あらゆる地形に対して偽装効果を発揮して、その
Oh, holy shit, dude, look at that. That bro, he was up against the wall. Dude, that's crazy. The Keraton.
効果を発揮してその風景に溶け込むことができます。
Oh, you see,
隠れて敵をやり過ごすっていうことだけでなくて、待ち伏せて奇襲をしたり、さまざまな場面で活用することが可能です。で、AT カムはですね、すべてのプレイヤーが標準装備として持っている基本アクションという位置づけです。
なるほど、本当に風景に溶け込んでますが、さっきの一瞬出てきたケロタンがね、気になりましたね。はい。
そうですね。MGS4 で登場したオクトカムというアイテムにちょっと似てるんで、自動的に地形に合わせてパターンが切り替わるっていう風に思われた方もいるかもしれないんですが、こちらのモード対戦ゲームなので AT カムの展開や切り替えというのは、各プレイヤーがあくまでアクションとして実行する形になってます。
なるほどなるほど。
地形に合わせて今ご覧いただいているように。
Okay, hold on, that's a lot. Holy shit. It's an action that each player must perform. As you can see now, you can match the camouflage pattern to the terrain. You can also come up with some unexpected combinations where you can enjoy a mismatch that doesn't seem to be trying to hide at all. Dude, let me tell you right now how I'm going to be fucking hiding and CQCing motherfuckers. Like, oh, this is going to be glorious.
地形に合わせた迷彩パターンに合わせるというのもそうなんですけど、意外となんか思いもよらない組み合わせで溶け込むことができたり、あるいはどう見ても隠れる気のないミスマッチみたいなものを楽しんだりみたいな。
Hold on, I think I broke it. Shit.
対人戦ならではの楽しみ方ができるんじゃないかなと思います。
なるほど、ミスマッチあえて目立っていろいろ戦略を立てるみたいな遊び方もできるわけですね。
そうですね。いろいろユニークな迷彩パターンというのがあるので、いろいろ使ってみてほしいですね。はい。 で続いてですね、かくれんぼですので、対となる探す側のアクション、そちらについて説明し
The
ます。
search action.
はい、
This is a
探す
tweet?
アクションですね。今ご覧いただいているのが、ネイキッドセンス
Oh, what is
というアクションがあります。
はい、
これは、周囲の
Called
敵の気配であった
naked
りアイテムの位置というのを探して視認するためのアクションです。
あ、なるほど。今
で
アイテムレーションが落ちて
Identify the
そう
presence
です
of
ね、実行
enemies
中は今ご覧
in
い
the
ただいて
surrounding
いるよう
area.
に周囲の見え方がちょっと変化しま
Oh
し
my
て
god.
付近にある
Okay.
アイテムの位置が浮かび上がっているのと、敵の気配はですね、今ちょっと先ほど一瞬出ましたけど、敵のキャラクターの周囲のシルエットの形で付近にいる敵の方向が表示されます。
なるほど、方向まで、こうやってアイテムの場所も分かってくるというこ
そうですね
となんです。
アイテムはその場所に位置が分かって、敵はそのあくまで方向だけがまず分かる。
なるほど。
でネイキッドセンスの
So you
使
can
用中
shoot
というのは、
food
ス
in
タ
the
ミナを一
multiplayer.
時的に消費するので、
You can
本編でいうところ
capture
の
food.
水中であったりエルードアクションの最中と同じイメージですね。
はい
で長く使用するには食料を補給して
You,
スタミ
if
ナ
you
を
use
十
it too
分
much,
蓄
I
えておく
guess
必
you
要
lose
があ
your
ります。
stamina.
なるほど、使いどころもまた鍵になってきそうですね。
そうですね、スタミナを消費している状態というのは麻酔銃とかのダメージに弱くなるといったデメリットもあるので、一概にずっと使っていればいいというものでもありません。
なるほど。
そしてここからが結構重要なんですが、
Where it gets quite important, as you can see, by using naked sense to capture the enemy's direction over this time. The enemy's location will eventually emerge as a silhouette. That's really interesting. Huh. See, like they're so focused on the minor details here. I mean, I guess these are important details, but I'm just trying to figure out, like, what do you do? Oh, I didn't even know there was an Xbox show, Butcher. I knew they were going to be there. I didn't know they actually had a show. Yeah, I still don't know what you do in this mode, though. Like, it seems like it's got a lot going on.
このネイキッドセンスをこの時間をかけて敵の方向を捉え続けると、今ご覧いただいているように最終的に敵のいる位置がシルエットとしてこう浮かび上がります。そうすると相手の位置を完全に特定することができて、遮蔽物越しであっても投下されるので、これ発見される側にとっては非常に大きなリスクとなります。
壁の向こうでもバレると、ケロタンが所持しているのも分かる。
そうですね、ケロタンの持っていることも分かります。でこの状態になるともうどこにいても位置がバレバレになってしまうので、
I don't know what you say. What did he say?
位置がバレバレになって
I'm trying to read that. You can also see that he has a keraton. Once this happens, no matter where we are, our position will be identified, so it's quite difficult. But the time it takes to pinpoint our position will vary depending on how conspicuous the opposing player is. So if you grab a keraton, you become like visible to everybody? But what do you do with the keraton?
どこにいても位置がバレバレになってしまうので、大変なんですけども、ただこの位置の特定に至るまでの時間というのは、
I think you do more
相手
with
プ
it.
レ
I
イヤー
don't
の
think
目立ち度合いによって
it's like blending
変
like
化します。
every
目
mode.
立ち度合い。はい。
走り回ってたり、今みたいに銃を撃ってたりするっていうのは目立つので、結構すぐに位置が特定されてしまうんですけど、しゃがみや報復でじっとしてたり、先ほどの AT カムですね、あれを展開してじっとしてたりすると目立ちにくくなるので、なかなか特定されなくなります。
なるほど、スニーキングコード。
Okay, so I guess, yeah, it's like you're saying, like it's cat and mouse, basically. I wonder, so the one thing I do know about this multiplayer mode, the one thing I do know about it is basically you play in duos, and if you, yeah, the shooting does look a little stiff. If you, I guess, don't have a keraton or something, by the time the time's up, you get eliminated. I guess, yeah, I don't know. I love it though. I gotta say, I absolutely love how over engineered this is. This is absolutely reminiscent of classic Metal Gear Online, bro, where they're just over engineering the hell out of these game modes to make them so different and unique. So far, it seems like it's blending a bunch of different stuff, and I am surprised. I was not expecting much, but I did have my suspicions where I'm like, what are the chances that they're going to try to do something big with this?
しているプレイヤーの位置はなかなか特定すること
The
ま
shooting
で
does.
は
Oh,
で
they
き
got hit
ない
markers too.
っていう
そうですね、まあ、つまり段階が
Looks
あ
like there's
り
like
ます。
はい
not
まあ
much
最初は、
recoil.
敵の方向だけが分かってでそのまま時間をかけていくと位置の特定までできるかもしれないっていうか
I guess if you use the AT camo a lot,
でですね、まあ、誰か周囲のプレイヤーがネイキッドセンスを使うとですね今度自分の、今ちょうどそうですね頭のヘッドマークのところに誰かが周りで使ってますよっていう警告が出ます。でこの時に、まあ、速やかに隠れれば、
okay.
こうやり
So I guess the idea is when people are anybody can use the naked sense, or what I guess that's what they call it, and it'll show if somebody's in your vicinity using it, and you're within the scanning radius, you'll get an exclamation point above your head, warning you that you're about to be detected. And I guess maybe you can. I wonder if you could quickly switch. I said switchly. If you could quickly switch to the AT camo to avoid being detected. Huh. That's interesting. Oh, there you are, Corey. Bro, Corey, I was getting worried you weren't going to show up to today's stream. I'm like, we're talking about the Metal Gear Solid 1 remake. Konami said that that's the next one they want to do. They said it's not an official announcement, but they said that's the one they want to do. And it's going to be really hard, but they're ready for it. I had to let you know because you're always talking about wanting Metal Gear Solid 1 remade. I think that's what they're doing next. You got to find something to stand out nowadays. There's so much competition in multiplayer. Yeah, dude. I mean, that's I think what's fascinating me so much about this mode is that they're actually really trying to do something different. And I'm so glad because Metal Gear Online 3 shipped with Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain. And the problem with Metal Gear Online 3 is it was the opposite. It removed all uniqueness in favor of trying to be more like a Call of Duty-esque type Metal Gear. And it was just soulless. And this seems like they're going in the opposite direction where they're like, we want to make it so unique that there's going to be nothing quite like it. And I love that because I'm like, this gives it a real fighting chance to be something that stands out.
頭のヘッドマークのところに誰かが周りで使ってますよっていう警告が出ます。
Someone around who's
で
using
こ
it.
の時に、まあ、速やか
If
に
you hide
隠
quickly,
れ
you
れ
can
ば
get away
こ
with
うやり
it.
過ご
But
す
if
こ
you
とができる
remain
んですけど、
unhidden, okay,
まあ、
so
目立っ
yeah.
た状態のままだ
If you
と
switch to
位
the
置が
AT camo,
特
you
定
won't
さ
get
れてし
detected.
まいます。
今バレなくなりましたね。
そうですね
隠れることができましたね。
はい
なるほど。なんかちょっと見つかったらじっとするこうだるまさんが転んだみたいな
そうですね
感じになるん
そんな
ですかね。
感覚に近いですね。まあ
I have no idea
やばい
what's being
見つかる
said
か
right
も
now.
って言ってまあ素早く身を隠してセーフみたいな体感ですね。でこんな感じ
Fortnite
で
will
各
be
プ
a month
レイヤ
after
ー
it
が
comes
ミッ
out.
ション目標のためにフィールド内を
So it says the basic structure of the game is that each player moves around the field in order to achieve their mission objectives. Okay, yeah, this is very much like a cat and mouse thing. So you do have to move around to achieve your objectives, but you have to find the balance between moving around and risking being noticed versus when you should play stealthily. This is very interesting. This is very interesting to me.
おのおの動き回る中でお互いの位置を探り合ったり、まあ、隠れてやり過ごしたり待ち伏せしたりといった、まあ、かくれんぼの駆け引きが行われるというのが基本的な構図になります。
Try to figure out
で
each
ここ
other's
までがまあフォックスダン
positions.
トの具体的な、かくれんぼの駆け引きについて触れてきまして最大プレイ人数は異なります。
なるほ
Also
ど
got 3
なんか本
maps.
編で見たことのないようなフィールド
They look
が
pretty
ありますね。
big
はい、人工物のこうフィールドもあるんですね。
はい
こういう場所でも AT カムは有効になってくるんですか？
はい、人工物に適用した迷彩パターンというのもまあいろいろとありますのでしっかりスニーキングできます。
はい。
でミッションですねゲームルールというのは
See,
まあ2種類用意されて
This
ま
is
す
what I
が
mean. So it's duos, bro. Like, God, I hope. I don't know. I hope we can play this together. Like, I don't think you guys understand how excited I am for this. I hope we can play this together when it comes out. I would love to do some members streams for this. But yeah, it's like teams of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So it's 16 players, it looks like. That's weird. It said 12 players, but there's 16. That's more than I expected. And they have phases. See, this is what I mean. Like, so it's got a little bit of a battle royale to it where there's phases. There's 4 phases. Only if you play more Skate with us. Dude, that was cursed. Yeah. More Skate. It's like Fall Guys. It's just like, it's Metal Gear Fall Guys. Oh, wait, hold on. That seemed really important. He said there's 2... Okay, hold on. This is the part I'm most confused about. So as for the missions, there are 2 types of game rules available, but both are survival style games. Oh, so there's 2 modes. See, this is... I knew they were doing it. I knew they were making this shit bigger than they let on. So they're going to have 2 modes, but both are survival style. During a mission, it is divided into time units called phases, and as time passes, it progresses to phase 1, 2, 3, so on. At the end of each phase, players who have not achieved the mission objectives are eliminated. The teams continue to compete only until one team remains. So if you get knocked down in battle like this, it doesn't mean you're eliminated. Oh, okay, that's... Dude, this is really like fascinating. So you can die and respawn. If you die, you're not eliminated. You only get eliminated by not achieving your objective. So you have, I guess, 8 teams of 2, and all 8 teams are trying to achieve similar objectives or the same objectives. And you're kind of screwing around with each other, like, hiding and attacking. That's really interesting. I like this. Yo, I think Konami cooked with this, bro. They might have cooked with this. Doesn't mean you're eliminated. Yes, as long as you complete the mission objective, you can return no matter how many times you are defeated. There's no need to force yourself to fight other players. Oh, so you can play super mega stealth then. Oh, I like this. I really like this. I like this. I like the idea. Dude, I am that PUBG player that just hides in the bush, okay? That's me. When I played, I saw that unknown, yeah. When I was playing Metal Gear Online 1 and 2, I was always playing the sneaking missions, and I always played as Snake, sneaking around. Yo, this is turning out to be way fucking better than I expected. I like this. Oh, look at this. Yo, hold on. You can play as the Fear in Eva? There's different versions of Snake? Oh, they have rankings. Dude, they have the animal rankings. Yo. They're fucking doing it. I told you they were doing it. I knew they were going to go all in. This is, Ocelot. Although, hold on though. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So it is 12 players. Well, that's really weird because they showed that image here and it showed 16. Maybe the second game mode is 16 players. Here's MBG's factions too. Dude, I'm not even kidding. Yes. Yeah, Irfan, that, like, for real, that's what this is for me at this point. And I am really liking what I'm seeing. That means there's a respawn. So one strategy is to just start fighting. It said sneaking and survive. The most important thing is to achieve mission objectives. Okay, so you have the health bar, although I'm covering it, but you have the health bar, the stamina bar, and there's a third bar underneath. Is it like a sound bar? I'll explain the specific steps. Oh, dude, look. Yo, do I have any MGO players in here? Here we go. We got the presets, the sound presets, communication presets. Where are my MGO players right now? This mode, will this mode be sold separately, or do you have to buy Delta? So, as of right now, all that they've confirmed is that if you buy Metal Gear Solid Delta, you get this with it. I have a sneaking suspicion, no pun intended, that they are going to sell this separately. I feel pretty certain that they're going to say, here it is by itself for $20 if you don't want to buy Delta. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but considering, dude, there's way more that went into this than I expected. Like, they're clearly trying to cook something here that's going to, I don't know, be played for a while. So I would imagine they will offer it separately. No, they are not saying it's a game as a service, but, well, actually, I don't know. To be honest, I don't know if they said that. There's a lot that they're saying here. You never cared for MGS stories, but you like the gameplay. Yeah, I mean, what's really interesting to me is how they're actually incorporating all the different aspects of Delta into it, like with the stamina bar and everything. Let's see. So it's 12 characters. As you can see, the rules I'm talking about are survival capture. Using this as an example, let me explain the flow of one game first. See, it goes too quick. As you can see right now, the participating players are all listed, and the conditions for the 3 team combinations and mission types are announced. Oh, okay. So it sounds like you can't pick which mode. It kind of just puts you in a match and it picks one of the 2 modes. The missions and game rules are decided randomly at this point each time. Oh, okay. So they kind of keep you switching it up. Now a lot of characters that look familiar.
いろんなキャラクターが見覚えのあるキャラクターがたくさんいてちょっと気になってしまいましたね。
気になるとは思うんですが、ちょっとこのあたりについては後ほど説明させていただきます。
はい、ありがとうございます。
Talk about it later. Leave me alone. So survival capture, the target item is the Keraton, which has been mentioned several times so far. Obtaining this is the objective of the mission. The condition for advancing through each phase is whether or not you have a Keraton at the end of the phase. Oh, okay. It's all making sense now. So you have to fight for the Keratons, dude. So you're telling me, if I understand correctly, like, I could sneak around, try to grab a couple Keratons, and then just, like, continue to sneak around and try to not be found while everybody else is fighting. Dude. Yo. Okay. I am surprised. Like, I have to admit, I am very surprised. You're trying to spot a few invites for boss, but YouTube is being a jerk with my bank card. Dude, you know what's weird, Corey? Somebody else, I think Miku fan, was saying they were having the same problem. Has anybody else run into this problem today? Because, we only got 3 memberships today, which is abnormally low, which it happens sometimes, but you're the second person that mentioned that their bank was causing problems. I wonder if there's something going on. Wait, Ray, what did you say? It's like capture the flag and last team standing.
キャプチャーですね。ターゲットアイテム、先ほどから何度か出てるケロタンですね。これを入手するというのがミッションの目標になってます。各フェーズの終了の時点でケロタンを所持しているかどうかというのがフェーズの突破条件になります。
Hold on. So you have an inventory, bro. Okay. You have an entire inventory, and you can carry what looks like one. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4. like 12 item slots.
プレイヤーを倒
Does defeating enemy players have an effect on the conditions for breaking through a
したり
phase?
することはフェーズ突破条件には影響はしないんですか？
そうですね、直接は影響
Yes,
しま
it
せん。
doesn't affect it
でまずは、武
directly.
器
So first of all, the basic idea is to go and retrieve the Karaton while procuring weapons and items. So while you're in the field, other players are acting in the same way. So you can just let it go like you did now, or you can fight, of course. Oh, so this has got a few battle royale elements to it as well. Huh.
アイテム調達しながらケロタンの回収に向かうというのが基本になります。でフィールド内は他のプレイヤーも同じように行動してますので、
Yo,
今みた
that's
い
crazy.
にやり過ご
That's
し
so
てもいいですし、
crazy.
戦ってももちろん構いません。
Oh, okay. Wow, you can hold a lot of weapons. Damn, dude's got 3 primary weapons and a handgun? Like,
でフィールド内はですね、先ほどから何度か出てるサ
Wait,
プ
what was
ライボ
that?
ックスという
hold on, what the hell was that? Cardboard box?
線。でフィールド内はですね、先ほど
Within the field, there are countless supply boxes, which I've mentioned several times before, where you can obtain weapons and items. A C box? But it's purple. Oh, hold on. They have, so 1, 2, 4 stars. Dude, this is like way more. They got so much more going on here than I could have ever expected.
から何度か出てるサプライボックスという武器やアイテムが調達可能な箱が無数に配置されてます。で一度に所持できる武
There's a limit to the number of weapons and items you can possess at one time, so you need to choose.
器やアイテムを上限というのは決まってますので、適宜取捨選択する必要があります。
なるほど、ここも戦略的に考えなければいけませんね。
そうですね。ちゃんと考えておかないと、ケロタンを所持するための枠っていうのも確保しておく必要がある。
なるほど。
はい。でフェーズ終了の瞬
So as long as you have Karaton at the moment the phase ends, you can break through. So as you can see now, if you manage to get it just in time, you'll be able to break through the phase and move on to the next. Oh, there's only 4. Okay, so there's like 4 seconds left, and you grab the
間にケロタン
Karaton.
を所持してさえいれば
And
突
he'll
破できるので、
survive.
今ご覧いただいているように
And that's his buddy.
ギリギリでなんとか入手したら、フェーズが突破できるという形で次のフェーズに進むことができます。
So I guess 2 people just got eliminated.
で道中ですね、敵プレイヤーを攻撃して武器やアイテムを奪ってもいいですし、
What
も
did
ちろ
that
ん
say?
道中ですね、敵
You can attack enemy characters and steal their weapons. And you can steal their Karatons. Oh, shit.
プレイヤーを攻撃して武器やアイテムを奪ってもいいですし、もちろんケロタンを奪っても良いです。であるいはですね、
I saw
ケロタン
Snake run
は
by earlier.
いくつ
You
でも
play
持てる
Snake
の
and
で、
Ocelot?
たくさん確保してしまって間接的に他のプレイヤーを妨害するみたいなこともできます。
なるほど。まあ他の人の分も集めてしまえば脱
Hold on, what did that say? Talking about tickets? If we collect other people's tickets as well, that means more people will drop out?
脱落する人数も増えるということになりますよね。
はい、戦わずに
One
スニー
strategy
キ
is
ン
to
グで
sneak
こっ
around
そり
and
ケロタンを独
monopolize.
占してしまうというのも、
What do you
ス
say?
ニーキングでこっそりケ
Monopolize
ロタンを独
Karatons
占し
without
てしまうという
fighting.
のも
Yo, okay. So you're telling me if you really wanted to be devious, you could try to collect all. If I stream this, I'm gonna get stream sniped left and right. Hell yeah, I am, dude. You're telling me you can collect like as many Karatons as like half the Karatons and then just hide somewhere in a fucking corner. And like half the players are panicking trying to find where you are. That's awesome. No, I haven't heard anything about Indiana Jones. That's sick, dude. This is actually so cool.
も一つの戦略ですし、今ちょっとご覧いただいた通り、仲間の分も確保して途中で渡してあげるみたいなこともできます。
なるほど。
はい。でフェーズ終了の時点でケロハを
So at the end of the phase, players who have not secured a Karaton will Fulton recover. Oh,
ケロタンを確保できていないプレイヤーは
shit, dude, that's
こんな感じで
crazy.
フルトン回収です。
はい
風船でもう上空に打ち上げられて脱落です。でフェーズ
You
が
drop
進
all
む
your
ごとに
items.
フィールド上のケロタンの数が減ってきますので、脱落者
The
が
boss.
どんどん増えていって
Dude, this is
最終的
really
に
sick,
1チームが生き残った時点でミッションが終了となる。
The mission ends when only one team remains.
1チームが生き残った時点でミッションが終了となる、これが1ゲームの基本的な流れになります。
That's the basic flow of the
お
game.
話しいただいたことをまとめますと、倒された人が脱落するわけではなくて、あくまでミッション達成を果たせなかったプレイヤーが脱落していくというサバイバル戦となっているんです。
This is way more
はい、
intricate
そ
than
の
I
通りですね。
expected.
あくまでフォックス隊員の候補生として、
Oh wait, hold on.
ミッション
Is there some
遂行
lore there?
あくまで
They're being tested as candidates for the Fox unit to see if they have the skills necessary to carry out the mission. That's so funny. They're trying to like create some
フォ
lore.
ックス隊員の候補生としてミッション遂行に必要なスキルを試されているというわけですね。
はい。
でフォックスアントにはですね、もう一つサバイバルイントルードというミッションがあるので、ちょっと軽くご紹介します。こちらはですね、ミッションも
Here, the mission objective is to secure a place called the Zone. Just like survival capture we saw earlier, the phases are repeated with the team members.
目標がゾーンと呼ばれる場所の確保になってます。先ほどのサバイバルキャプチャーと同様にフェーズ単位で繰り返されるという展開なんですけど、フェーズの終了
The rule is that if you are not inside the zone by the end of the phase, you are eliminated.
の時点でゾーン内にいないと脱落というルールです。
今ガーコを打ったらエリアが展開されましたね。
はい。
Yo, is this basically Metal Gear Hardpoint? They just made Metal Gear Hardpoint, bro. I should be a Metal Gear. Yeah, dude, I'm gonna become a Metal Gear streamer. Shems, what's up, man? We're taking a look at the Metal Gear Online Fox Hunt multiplayer that's coming out next month.
のサバイバルキャプチャーではケロタンがターゲットになってたんですけど、
集めるという目的でしたね。
こちらのルールはガーコが
The Gakko shaped like a motive that symbolizes the zone. So defeating the enemy and securing the zone where the Gakko is one thing. But as you're
ゾ
seeing
ーン
now,
を象徴するモチーフみたいな形になってます。で敵を倒してガーコがいるゾーンを確保するのもいいんですけど、今ご覧いただいている通り誰かが取ってるゾーンにこっそりスニーキングで侵入してフェーズを突破してしまうみたいな戦略もできる
you
の
can
で、
also use a strategy like sneaking into the zone that someone else is taking and breaking through the phase. Oh, dude, that's so interesting. I really have to say I'm impressed at the way that they've incorporated stealth into this multiplayer. Like, they've really made it so if you want to just play this multiplayer full stealth, you can. I wonder how good people will get, though. That's the question. How good will people get at identifying you're using the AT camo? Because I feel like at first it works really well. Like, it seems to really blend in well. But I think people over time are going to get really good at immediately identifying a silhouette. Potentially, or an outline, I should say.
キャプチャーよりもスニーキングで
You can also use a strategy like sneaking a zone. So this is a mission where sneaking style play is more advantageous than capture. It's a pretty small zone.
的な立ち回りが優位に働くミッションになります。
結構ゾーン狭いですね。
そうです。
ドキドキしますね。
はい。でですね、この他にもフォックスアントにはさまざまな要素があるので、最後にちょっといろいろ紹介させてください。
はい。
はい、フォックスアントはですね、
What the fuck is this?
ミッションを繰り返して
You can get reward packet. Oh my god, dude. Okay. Yo, you already know. Look at this. You already know they're cooking a live service. You know, I knew it. I'm not upset about it. Everything they've shown looks really good, but I knew. I knew it. I told you guys there's no way Konami's not going to do more with this multiplayer. This is not just going to be a mode. I think they're trying to frame it that way, but you look at everything that's going on here. They got, dude, I gotta admit, using cardboard boxes for the loot boxes is so funny. Let's see what
はい、
they
ウォ
give
ー
you
クスア
though.
ントはですね、ミッションを繰り返してプレイしていくことで、
So, flower
リワード
camo,
パッケージというものが
you
手
get new
に
camos?
入ります。このパッケージから
Masks
は
and suits?
ランダムでさまざま
I
な
guess
報
that's
酬
another-
が入手することができまして、
Hold on,
パ
what
ッケ
was
ージという
that?
ものが手に入ります。
So you can unlock like characters through these boxes. And what are these bars? That life? I get different stats for characters? What? yo, this is crazy. Like, I was not expecting this to be this much. Well, I kept saying I knew it. Yeah, another speech emote.
このパッケージからはランダムでさまざまな報酬が入手することができまして、次のプレイに役立てることができます。で、先ほどいろんなキャラクター出てましたけど、あれも報酬の一つですね。キャラクターの見た目を変更できる変装という報酬です。で、デルタできる
The reward is disguise that can change your character's appearance. In the main story of Delta, there is a disguise, an item that turns into Rykov's face, but...
変装という報酬です。で、デルタ本編にも変装マスクといって、まあ、ライコフさんの顔になるアイテム登場しましたけども、北サントでは顔だけでなくて、もう全身丸ごと変装できます。
なるほど、あくまで変装ということですね。
まあ、他にもAT カムの迷彩パターンが増えたり、あと MGO でおなじみ。
What, dude? What am I looking at right now? What is this? Is that Major Zero and Paramedic?
パターンが増えたり、あと MGO でおなじみのプリセット。
Oh, he said MGO. Hold on. There are other things like more camouflage patterns and AT camo.
あと MGO でおなじみのプリセット無線の種類が増えたりとかあります。
今のですね。はい。
プリセット無線以外にもコミュニケ
Gestures. I've been making some weird poses lately. Dude, they're going all in with this. Come on, you know they're going all in with this, bro. No wonder why. No wonder why they said it was not going to be there at launch and they're still working on it. Dude, this is so crazy. I'm looking at a team, 2 players, somebody playing as Major Zero and Paramedic, and bro's got banana camo.
パターンが増えたり、あと MGO でおなじみのプリセット無線の種類が増えたりとかもあります。
今のですね。
プリセット無線以外にもコミュニケーションの手段としては、まあジェスチャー、まあ先ほどからなんか変なポーズ取ったりしてますけど、そういうものもいろいろあります。
なるほど。まあ繰り返しプレイして楽しんでいただくことでいろいろな要素が増えていくと。達成感ありますね。
そうですね。
Wait, what? Is that Sigint?
対戦とはもう直接関係ない。
There are a lot of fun elements not directly related to battle.
遊び要素もいろいろ搭載してますので、いろんな遊び方楽しんで。ではまず、
dude, all right, yo, it's like low key MGO, bro. I'm ready. Oh boy. Okay. Well, it's coming out October 30th, so I am hype. I am actually super hyped for that. Kojima's cringing. I'm playing it, bro. I'm there day one. I want this. This is when this was first revealed and they said it's a fox hunt mode. We're like, it's just going to be like a basic hide and seek mode with like not much going into it. But dude, this is they're laying the foundations, right? Like you guys see it, right? Konami is laying the foundations of a proper return, a full-blown live service return for Metal Gear Online. That's exactly what they're doing. And I'm stoked, actually. Like I said for the longest time, they should try to do something like this. And yeah, I think what I'm most happy about though with this multiplayer is that it is very unique. Like they actually tried, and that makes me happy. I have to play it, of course, to know how it feels, but I was really nervous that it was just going to be something quickly thrown together that was just going to be as like a little extra selling point, you know, kind of like the snake versus monkey mode. Not that it's a good mode, but just something kind of small that's self-contained. This does not give me that vibe at all. Like this has a lot of thought going into it. Like, and as I said to Whiskey Gaming earlier, I'm fairly certain this is eventually going to be sold on its own, standalone. So I'm excited, man. Like, holy shit, this is way more than a. It turns out that my freaking out and screaming when this was first revealed is actually turning out to be justified. So good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, they're gonna make a free to play live service. They're gonna do it. I'm here, man. I will be here day one playing this. This might be my new like go-to multiplayer game. Seriously. I just wish the only thing that's painful is it's another month before it comes out, man. It's another month. So still got a little bit of time. It makes me wish I didn't. Well, I guess it's okay because I'll be playing Ghost of Yotei, but I got the platinum for Delta already, so. But there you go, man. That is the update we got for Metal Gear yesterday, the hotline. Big update for the Fox Hunt multiplayer. I'll be curious to see what you guys think of it, but I think this will be a good place to wrap up the stream, guys. We just hit the 3-hour mark, and at the 3-hour mark, we completed all of our topics and discussions. So, Del, when you're going to play it, yeah, I'm looking forward to it, bro. I'll definitely be playing it on the channel. Absolutely. But, yeah. Clip it and ship it. But, all right, guys, I think that is going to wrap up today's stream. We talked about Metal Gear. We talked about the Ghost of Yotei reviews. We talked about the Wolverine and Saros hype. And, yeah, it's been a busy week, and it's not over yet. It's been a long week, though. It feels like this is Friday. It's not Friday, though. But I think this will be a good place to wrap it up. So before I head out, I want to thank everybody for tuning in and watching. Also, a shout out to anybody who watches the streams later. I appreciate all the viewership. I did put a video out earlier. You can go check that out if you're interested. I want to ask you to please hit that like button on your way out. And I want to thank anybody who dropped any direct support. If you dropped any member gifts, if you became a member, if you dropped any super chats, direct donations. I can only do what I do here because you guys make it possible. So thank you so much to everybody who has shown support. Yeah, it does feel like Friday. It's very strange. And there you go. Yeah, Hanzo, you finished your pizza. We finished the stream. All right, guys, please. Oh, I also want to make sure to give a shout out to Devil Shooter. I almost forgot. He's been doing the timestamps for the longest time now. He still does them. He does a great job. If you guys see him in the comments with those timestamps, give him some thanks. Show him some love. I know he appreciates it. And yeah, thank you, Devil Shooter, for what you do. He even did timestamps for the stream yesterday. So good stuff, bro. That's it. All right. Yeah, guys, enjoy the rest of your afternoon, evening, or night. And we'll have to see if we come back here tomorrow. I guess we'll have to see what the topics look like. But if we're not back tomorrow, we'll definitely be back on Sunday for sure. So just keep your notifications turned on. And that's it. So, all right, guys, I will catch you in the next one. Till then, take care, everyone.